What's up, wizards, fae beings, and ancient titans? Welcome back to the Fantasy Files Podcast, the podcast that wastes hours of your life that you're never getting back. I am your host today, Spencer, joined by my friend Gavin, and we are going to talk about the 18th, 19th? Something book
18th,
in
I
the
think. 18th.
in the Dresden Files, and we'll be talking about Battleground here, and I initially meant to have this be 2 episodes because there's so much that happens in this book. We are going to stop kind of at a defining moment in the halfway point, but as of this recording, 12 months comes out in 9 days. So, or really even like 8 days because we're mostly through today. So that's coming up on us fast. And I realized this about a couple weeks ago. And I'm like, I think we just need to get Battleground out so that we can do 12 months when it comes out. So we'll be talking through the whole thing. We'll be going all the way from the beginning to the end in one episode. And if you haven't read it, then hop off now because we will be spoiling absolutely everything. So get out of here if you have not read Battleground. But otherwise, our links are down in the description. We got Twitter, Discord, we got Patreon where you can watch these episodes live as we record them, or see them just like, if you don't catch it live, you can still watch it before it ever goes up onto YouTube. So that's well worth it. It's like $3 a month. You can hop on there and get tons of extra content. We also do episodes that never end up on YouTube over there, so feel free to check that out. We also got SpeakPipe linked down below where you can leave us a voice message and we will respond to it on the podcast. But with all that out of the way, we are going to get straight into it and talk about Battleground. Let's go into our general thoughts for this book. We also have, I'm going to try to pull it up while you chat about your general thoughts.
Sure.
But we also can make a ranking, put this in our ranking. But for now, what do you like this book? Does it stand up to a bunch of the others, or?
Yeah, no, I love Battleground. I really enjoyed, I think it was probably my third or fourth time through it again this week. And it really is just peak Dresden Files, but just dialed up to 100 in terms of the conflict. I think it's in many ways Jim at his best, especially because I think we mentioned in the last time I was on talking Peace Talks, is I had some issues with Peace Talks because as a standalone book, it doesn't really hold up. The story within Peace Talks isn't like something, isn't like the other Dresden Files book in terms of beginning to end being a great story in completion. But Battleground, on the other hand, I think is a full story being told, just with a nice prologue in Peace Talks to set it up. So yeah, no, I think I don't really have anything negative to say about Battleground. I just have a lot of gushing, so many fun moments, so much heartbreak. Pace was incredible, stakes were high. So great to see so many people that we've been introduced to in previous books, and it's super high up there for me as in the Dresden Files series. I haven't really thought about where I'd rank it because there's so many books. It's tough to keep it like a ranking in your head, but
Sure.
it's in the top 5-10%
Yeah.
percentile of Dresden Files books for me for sure.
Yeah, that's
Just
fair.
actually no, there's some things I didn't necessarily love. I guess we can get there when we get there. But it's very minor, and there's way more things I want to gush about.
Yeah. Yeah, same. I think the only thing that I didn't like was how it starts with the Kraken.
Yeah,
Because I've always felt, and I think I mentioned this on our Peace Talks episode, is that I've always felt that the Kraken needed to be like the end boss for Peace Talks, and that would be like the big like climactic battle that usually
yeah,
happens at the end of a book, because I feel like Peace Talks didn't really have that. And so my only complaint is that that just should have been moved back to Peace
yeah,
Talks and then start Battleground with, going up to the shore
On
of
a shore.
Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. I especially because knowing that Peace Talks and Battleground used to be one book, the Kraken scene just screams, "This is where I split the book." And I
Mm-hmm.
needed he came back and added the scene. Like it's really obvious to
Mm.
me that's what happened. And I could be
Oh, you
wrong.
think it got
But I'm
added in?
I think once he decided to split Peace Talk and Battleground into two books, he decided to add that scene afterwards. I could be wrong, but I would be shocked if I am. That's the way it feels. And like there is a cool moment where he soul gazes a Kraken and the Kraken gets spooked. Um, but similar to which I'm sure we'll talk about the payoff of the Conjuritis, which it's as great a payoff as you could possibly
Oh,
want. It
yeah.
still doesn't necessarily justify the whole. In that case, Conjuritis, been this theme, that whole fight scene, just for the soul gaze. I just think he starts every Dresden Files book off with a bang, and where he cut Peace Talks to Battleground, he needed to start the next one with a bang, so he added the Kraken scene. That's what it feels like to me, and even if I'm wrong, it's not a great sign that that's how I feel about it. So I'm with you on
Sure.
that scene.
Yeah, I think most people probably complain about the Conjuritis. I wasn't a huge fan of it just because I don't like things that kind of just get introduced randomly, and it's like, oh, this
Yeah,
was never like foreshadowed or anything. Like this part of the magic was just kind of like I feel like that's kind of happening a lot in King's Dark Tidings right now, where things are getting introduced, and it's like, but wait, is this part of the world? Like this was never like
yeah.
foreshadowed. Like there's no building blocks for this, and so that in the beginning are really my only two complaints. But everything else in this book was a
Yeah,
total
no,
home
I
run.
agree. I agree with you 100%. If it had been in any way foreshadowed, I think I'd probably have no issues with it because of
Right.
how fun the payoff is in the Anvil's callback, which is objectively a lot of fun. But
It
I
is
just
fun,
feel
yeah.
like Conjuritis was created in Peace Talks Battleground to facilitate that moment and clearly
Right.
didn't exist before. And probably, honestly, we'll probably never see it again because it was really just for that moment. And
Yeah.
that actually brings me to my only other real criticism is I wish there was a little bit more foreshadowing about Justine and Nemesis. I feel like
Yes.
like that would be my only other. I don't know whether he decided in these two books that that's when he put Nemesis in her. Perhaps he's been thinking that for since along many books ago. Maybe that's
Yeah.
he had that in his head. But if he did, I wish there could have been at least some sort of hint about something more going on with Justine, because that kind of also struck me as something he decided in these two books as well. But
Yeah,
hard to
and
say.
people have looked at Justine's timeline, and I feel like the consensus, at least from the discussions that I've seen over on Reddit and stuff, people are kind of like, it's just like really not clear. Like if you look at her life throughout the books, it's really not clear when she got infected. Like there's not like a good,
Hmm.
like solid moment where it would have happened. And so I think that's one thing. It's really hard for people to pin down, oh, like, wait, she got infected when this happened. That makes perfect sense. There's nothing like that, really. And so it's
Yeah,
kind of hard to, like, get excited about it when you can't quite figure that out, when there's not, like, a concrete thing. But also, yeah, it feels like he kind of decided in Peace Talks and Battleground, like, oh, I need Justine to be Nemesis, or that would be really cool, or something, and just kind of added it in and
yeah.
was like, yeah, she was infected a while ago. Like, it was just kind of like, yeah. But I didn't even think
I
about
think
that
that's
until
it
you
for
brought it
all our
up.
criticisms. Actually, maybe
I
that
do
might be it
too.
for criticisms, honestly. Because other than that, it's just so much freaking fun. Other
Yeah.
than the not so fun parts, which are meant to be not so fun,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh
aka
yeah.
Murphy. But yeah,
For sure, for sure. Well, I had a couple general thoughts. I really liked the banner system, and I liked
mm,
that Marcone also had his own banner system,
yeah,
where Dresden can feel everybody that is like on his team or like in his army. Because the interesting thing for an author to do here, and I'm sure like plenty of other authors have pulled off big scale battles to the point where it's like two armies and whatnot. Um, but Jim Butcher had a unique opportunity that he took advantage of here, where he's got like multiple magic systems on his side, and having Dresden be able to like feel the army and kind of feel like where they all are, and like as people give him their trust, like as people like, there's a conscious thing that happens when somebody joins Dresden's like army or like his band of fighters, and that magically creates a link to Harry that he can now feel and now has to take on their pain and like their deaths and everything. And with Intellectus getting introduced back in Turncoat, it's like a perfect. I love whenever Intellectus is put in, because it's been like a solidified part of the magic system now. It doesn't feel like a gimmick. It doesn't feel like, a Deus Ex Machina or anything like that. It feels like it's meant to be part of this
Mhm.
world. And so anytime it comes up now, it feels like it's supposed to be there. And he has a limited form of Intellectus with his army, which I think was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
And then we see that Marcone, nothing is admitted, but Marcone, we very much understand that Marcone also has his own banner Intellectus with the people that are following him. And that leads me into my other general thought is I wonder what the night was like for Marcone, because he's also experiencing this banner thing. So what did he feel when somebody died? Like, did he care? Like, did he care more than he usually does when somebody died? And then also, we know that he has thorned Namshiel. And so I would be so interested to know what the conversations were like between Marcone and Namshiel throughout the night. Like Namshiel explaining, "Oh, the Titan is doing this now, and that's what this means, like magically," and like explaining, like going through all of these things. I mean, he was probably learning much the same stuff that Harry was. I just wonder how Marcone like interpreted it and like what those conversations were like.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think it's a good window in terms of like what it must be like for the uber powerful beings like Mab who have vassals. And at one point Harry's like, "Oh, I wonder if this is like what it's like for Mab all the time with
Yeah,
all the people under her."
it's a good
And
point.
yeah, just the scene of Harry on the back of Murphy's motorcycle with the Knights of the Cross just going through the city, raising the banner as it were, and people just feeling what he was feeling and following in behind him, and how amazing it was, but also how terrifying it was for his friends. It's a
Yeah.
a really great scene. I agree.
Yeah, it was amazing. I really liked that whole aspect, and I think it was a really good way to make the reader feel invested in these random Chicagoans dying, like cuz for us as
Yeah,
a reader, like we're following Harry so closely, it can be easy to forget about all of these casualties, but Jim Butcher had a specific purpose with this book where it's like he's introducing Chicago to the supernatural, and there's going to be tons and tons of devastation, not just the devastation to Harry himself, but there is going to be lots and lots of chaos and murders and things happening. And the reader needs to be able to feel that, and so I think the banner
yeah.
system was just a really really clever
And
way.
and one more thing, I liked how it wasn't just over once the fight was over, in terms of the scene at the end where a lot of those people show up to the funeral for Murphy slash
Mm,
the funeral for all the people who died at the battle. And Harry gives them a pin. So I think we'll be seeing a lot of those people play a part in the plots going forward in one way or
yes.
another, in terms of like, there's going to be people who go back and stick their head in the sand or whatever, and then there's going
Yeah.
to be, I think, we're going to be seeing those people again pop up because of the pins, and because they had their eyes open wider than anyone else. So yeah,
Well,
no, I thought it was great.
it would be cool to get another book or a side story or whatever that's more like Stormfront, where Stormfront was like a fairly normal guy who had made a deal with a demon, and he had like kind of gained this power, and it was like a smaller story that was like focused on
From the
like,
POV of the guy from the POV of the
well,
guy who's like,
he
"What, you think you're a wizard?" And Harry's like, "You
yeah.
watch this buddy just burst a tree on fire like a little."
That was such
And
a good scene. Oh my god,
yeah,
I love
I
that.
love that because it's just like it goes against every sort of sci-fi or a fantasy in terms of just like well, if there's magic, why not just create a ball of fire, just like make it so it's undeniable.
It's
And
like,
that's why I
okay,
love the Dresden Files, because Harry's like, all right, enough with this, and then
yeah,
just like shattered all doubt immediately, as opposed to like, oh, you need to trust me, like look
right.
around you. Explanation is like, no, 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 let's cut that all out,
Let's
make it
just
nice
do
black
it.
and white for this
I
guy.
I
Yeah,
love how he's like, I'm only gonna do this once, so pay attention,
yeah,
and then he does it.
exactly.
But I guess what I mean is that it would be interesting because at the end of the book, Marcone, they're talking about Chicagoans like being wise to the supernatural now, and Marcone is like, outside Chicago, they can spin the story to be like, oh, it was, hallucinations or whatever, and they can do that for the outside world. But the people that live in Chicago, he's like, there are like normal Chicago people that have probably made deals with some of the supernatural beings that were running around in the open tonight. Like think
Hmm.
about like a little girl who gets protected by a fae being or something, and then like it's almost like it's her like imaginary friend, but it's like a real like fae being, or some guy that is out there. And I'm going back to fae beings because they usually make deals, but
Well, there was like
uh,
hundreds of thousands of the little folk of the winter fae, or I think winter and
yeah,
summer fae, but just the little folk were everywhere
yeah, like how many of them like
at a
made
minimum.
deals with these things?
Yeah, totally. They don't
And
know better.
so yeah, and so it'd be interesting. I wonder if in 12 months we're going to see the repercussions of some of these regular mortals kind of intermixing with the supernatural
Yeah,
beings that they met this night. um I mean, I can imagine, I know I would, at the end of the night,
yeah,
like as everything's kind of, Ethnu is defeated and everything, like turning to the supernatural person next to you and being like, how do I contact you? Like, how do I, like,
yeah,
setting up those like relationships? Like, how do I do this? And so I wonder if we're going to see the fallout from that
yeah.
during 12
I
months.
expect so. That's
Yeah.
a good point.
But let's rank this real quick. I'll pull up the our little ranking thing here. So, as it stands, we have Changes being number one, Cold Days being number two, number three being Skin Game, four is Proven Guilty, five is Turncoat, six is Small Favor, seven is Deadbeat, eight is Ghost Story, nine is White Knight, 10 is Death Masks, 11 is Peace Talks, 12 is Blood Rights, 13 is Summer Night, and then 15 is Grave Peril, and 16 is Stormfront at the very bottom. We were saying it would probably be in like the top five up in this area.
Hmm.
Is that
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
So we have Changes, we have Cold Days, we have Skin Game, Proven Guilty, and Turncoat. Which of these would you say Battleground is better than?
So for me, I would probably put it above proven guilty, honestly.
Yeah, that's
That's
fair.
probably where I would slot it. Because I
But
do agree with the
underneath
top
Skin
three.
Game?
Yeah, I really like Skin Game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my only issue with it, like honestly, Skin Game is amazing. My only issue with Skin Game is Butters being rewarded with the sword of faith,
Yeah,
while he had no faith in Harry throughout the whole book.
right.
So that
Yeah,
does put a damper on it a little bit, because like Butters great and does do some heroic stuff. I just wish he didn't get the sword of faith based
right.
on how little faith he showed in Harry that book. But
That's a good point.
um, yeah, I would say either below or above Skin Game. I think is totally
Okay.
reasonable.
Okay. Man, because I think for me, Skin Game, I think I would probably have Skin Game at number five, anyways.
Hmm.
But I don't know. It's got some moments though. It's got some really good moments. So yeah, I think I'll agree with you between Proven Guilty and Skin Game. We'll put Battleground there, which is funny because Peace Talks is way down at 12.
Yeah. Well, it's honestly, Peace Talks isn't like, compared to like as a standalone, if you don't think of it as part of the series, if you don't think of it as like the first half of Battleground as a completed story, it's just like it doesn't compare. It's
Right,
clearly the first half of a story, not a full contained story on its own. Like you wouldn't, if you're just gonna
right.
like, oh, I guess we're gonna read one Dresden Files book this week. Like maybe it would be peace talks, but yeah, I don't know. I think as a standalone, it's hard to compete with all the other ones, which are full
Sure.
beginning to end stories.
Sure, totally agree. So yeah, that leaves our top five as number five is Proven Guilty, four is Battleground, three is Skin Game, two is Cold Days, and number one is still Changes. I wonder if 12 Months is gonna take the number one spot.
I would love that. I hope so.
I hope so
I can't
too.
wait.
Mike's book reviews got an arc for it, and he
Oh,
says that it's very very good.
I did
And
not know that, and I'm very excited to hear that. That makes
yeah,
me very excited because there's definitely some things I expect to happen. Like obviously, there's going to be the Lara Ray stuff, but like the mentions at the end, I didn't see if it was in your notes, but about how like the librarians and how the feds are going to get involved. Like I'm
yeah,
very excited for
Libra
that
Umbrum or
storyline
whatever.
with like the feds we met in Changes, Murphy's ex-husband being a fed who might have been recruited into that because of the werewolf storyline. So yeah, the law enforcement, feds, librarian, black, the spooky desk for the feds in Washington, like that. I expect that to be a part of 12 months, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I hope we get. I mean, there's so I hope it's like a. I mean, I think we kind of talked about the length of it on that was shown on Audible. I just hope there's a lot of stuff packed into it. I hope there's like plenty going
Yeah.
on. I mean, it's
I think
really
that's a
interesting.
safe bet for Dresden Files.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's like it's interesting, right? Because the previous books, like they have there's a thing that happens. Like in Skin Game, it's like the bank heist. Like that's the big thing.
Yeah.
But Jim Butcher has said over and over that 12 months is going to be a different kind of Dresden Files book where it's him kind of healing from all the deaths of everybody and kind of taking a
Mhm.
break to get himself like Harry needs to get leveled up again. He's got his castle now. He needs to start making like probably a new shield, a new staff. Like he needs all these he needs like upgraded equipment and he needs time to like get into gear again. And
Yeah.
so Jim Butcher has kind of said that that's what 12 months is going to be. And so I'm like, I hope there's more than that though. And I
Yeah.
think until I saw Mike's book reviews, speak highly of it, I was a little worried because this winter we got Empire of the Empire of the Dawn,
The
we
Dawn.
got Strength of the Few, we got King's
Mhm.
Dark Tidings 7, and none of those hit for me.
Yeah.
All of
No,
them
fair
were
enough.
kind of like I was like, on all of them. And so I'm like, please just let 12 months be good. Like please let
Yeah.
that be the standout. So
No, and
I
to
hope
that
it is.
point, because like at the end of Battleground, like he's really laying it on thick to set Harry up to be like pretty damn depressed coming out of that book. Obviously for the Murphy stuff, and then for the White Council stuff, and for all the death and destructions. So like I think my worry, and honestly Mike's review helps me a bit too, but
Yeah.
was like we're gonna get like Harry Dresden's version of like Kaladin, early Way of Kings, all depressed, coming out of Battleground, and I wasn't really
Yeah.
looking forward to that either. But I do have a lot of faith in Jim Butcher, so there's going to be some fun, exciting shit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Did
I'm really looking forward to the to certain storylines, which I hope to see.
did you know that there's a short story coming out too called Outlaw?
No, I did not.
I didn't know about this either until Gabe texted me the other day and he's like, "Hey, have you seen this thing about this short story coming out?" And I was like, "No." And I haven't Googled it yet, but yeah, apparently there's a short story coming out called Outlaw.
I'm gonna Google that too because I don't know. I wonder if it's a Harry POV or whether it's a side character. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
'Cause right now, it's probably Harry. It's probably Harry if it's named Outlaw because now he's
Oh yeah,
outlawed
because
from
now he's
the
outlawed
White
from the
Council. So
White
I wonder
Council.
about that. Huh? Interesting.
Interesting, yeah. Okay, so going into deeper discussion, kind of talking about specific scenes. This isn't going to be like a whole recap. We won't go like scene by scene or anything, but we'll just pick some of our favorite scenes. Um, Rudolph and Bradley stopping Dresden while he's on the bike, and then Bradley soul gazing Dresden, and Harry sees him as like this big oak tree, which is very like like yeah, I could definitely see that for Bradley. And Bradley has an interesting reaction, like most people do, to Harry soul gazing, where they're scared of what they see. And Harry, in his inner monologue, he says, I don't know what I look like in a soul gaze. The only mirrors to the human soul are those around us. All the people who have been my mirrors had not reacted with great positivity to what they'd seen. I think this is interesting. Like everybody who gazes them kind of has like a really strong reaction, and Harry says that that's one of the reasons why he did not soul gaze Murphy is
Okay,
because he
is
didn't want her
Karen.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't want her to see his whatever is so dark and nasty inside his soul. But funny enough, Murphy Napier in her Battleground review said that she wonders if someday Dresden will have a love interest who he does soul gaze, and when the soul gaze ends, they just fully accept him like as they see in the soul gaze. Like they like fully accept like what they've just seen, and then that's kind of like Harry's like soulmate or the person that he's supposed to be with or whatever. And who
Mm.
knows, Karen could have been that person, but I just thought that was a really interesting take. I'm like, oh yeah, I never really thought about like the day when somebody soul gazes Harry and they just like accept everything they see rather than being scared of it. Um,
Yeah, that's
and
interesting.
so, and also, I'm like, will we ever get to see his soul? Will we ever get to see his soul gaze?
I think it's one of. I think Jim's actually answered that question, and I think he's described it. It's one of those things that's a lot cooler if you don't actually have to describe specifically what it is. So
Right?
I would guess no would be my guess. But
Yeah.
just to add on to the point, the Rudolph and Bradley scene, which is great, is it also the wonderful, wonderful, terrible foreshadowing about trigger discipline
Yeah.
was
Trigger
also very
discipline,
well done in
Rudolph.
that scene.
Oh,
Yeah,
God. As soon as I heard that line, I was like, no, don't remind
yeah,
me.
yeah.
Do you think things would have been different with the White Council if Harry had told Ramirez the truth from the beginning, or at least as much of the truth as he could have, like, actually told him?
This so I, I don't know, but my frustration with that whole thing is that like it's no secret that Harry was Margaret Le Fay's son. Like I don't think that's a secret, and
Yeah.
I don't think it's a secret that Margaret Le Fay was Ebenezer's daughter. So the fact that like people don't know Ebenezer's Harry's grandfather is one of those things that has me scratching my head because it's like, how is this a secret? That so
Hmm.
that confuses me, and then
Yeah.
also it's just like. From what I understood, it's like Margaret Le Fay was living with I can't remember his name, but the White King for
Yeah.
like years, and
Right.
like she didn't like other than and so like how did people not know like the fact that people haven't figured out that Thomas, let alone Ebenezer, like Thomas was Harry's half brother, like is confusing to me because it like
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like it was some great secret at the time, unless we find out that it was and whatever.
Yeah.
But like for me, I like whether it was in peace talks with the scene with Harry, Thomas, and Ebenezer, or all the scenes with Ramirez in this book, like I was always, even though on my rereads, it's like, come on, Harry, like it's not that big a deal. Like the White Council's working with the White Court right now. It's not
Yeah.
like they're gonna find out he's your half brother and go like execute him or something. Like I don't know how it would have changed things. But I think it had to be this way for plot reasons for Jim. But it did frustrate me because I love Ramirez and I just like I was on his side in terms of like I loved Harry threatening him at the very end, with like, oh, you want to go talk to Ethnu, like
Yeah.
that type of shit. Because like I don't like him, him being bullied, and the fact that they thought he was just going, oh, stop practicing magic. It's just
Yeah.
like, get the fuck
Right.
out of here. What are you
Yeah.
talking about? Um, but yeah, so I have issues with that because it feels like it's less like a Harry reason for not confiding in Jim in Ramirez and more of a Jim needs this to put the plot forward type thing. But it's also like
Sure.
it's family. I get it. It's you want to protect your family. Like obviously, there's people like Ebenezer who have a burning white rage against the White Court. But Harry's also shown like he doesn't mind giving people like leverage over him by information. Like he gives volunteers to the Earl King that Margaret Le Fay was his mother, which Ebenezer was mad at the time. So it's like he's not like he's someone who always wants to hide stuff about his. So yeah, yeah, I don't know what to think. I don't know what would have changed things, but I understood Ramirez. Like I try and think about Harry through these other characters' point of view, and it does become more reasonable when they don't trust him and they're scared of him.
Mm,
When they don't know, like he's not open with the fact that he only became the Winter Knight because he broke his back so he could get his back fixed so he could go save his daughter. Like even if he was just open about that and that's why he became the Winter Knight for that one reason, then he planned on killing himself to get out of the deal. Like even if he told Ramirez in the White Council that, I think that would go a long way.
yeah.
Um, but I think it might be for like more Jim reasons than Harry reasons why he has to keep certain things to himself.
Sure. I think over and over Dresden has had to learn this difficult lesson of like the more he keeps from people, the more things like get worse. Like with Billy
Hmm.
the werewolf, like he didn't fill him in on the supernatural for a long time, and then Kirby died and all the things that happened in Turncoat. And so then he
Murphy's the
finally
best example of that, of
Murphy's a great
course.
example. And he just constantly like will not confide in people, and it's like the meme of like how many times are we gonna have to teach you this lesson, old
Yeah,
man? Like it's it's like, Harry, you've got to give a little bit, and especially with like, yes, Ramirez is on the White Council, and yes, he's kind of in this position of authority, but he's also your friend. Like at some point you
yeah,
have to trust him. And so is Lucio. Like Lucio's in a position of authority and she's on the council and she knows about Thomas. So
yeah,
like I think that if he had trusted Ramirez even a little bit and just been like, I can't tell you everything, but here's the gist of what's going on, um I think that would have gone a long way. I don't know if it would have stopped him from like getting kicked out of the council, but I think at the very least Ramirez would have had his back a little bit more, and it maybe would have been able to soften some of the disciplinary measures that Harry got. But at this point, Ramirez just thinks that Harry is a monster. But the thing is, Harry doesn't know what happened in what was it, Cold Front or Cold Case, where
yeah.
Molly
True,
goes ape shit
very
on
true.
Ramirez. And so Ramirez sees these winter beings and he's like, that fucking scares me. And Harry, being the Winter Knight, he's like, nope, you're a monster just like she is. He's like, I thought Molly was this sweet girl and like we
Yeah,
went to go have sex and then she like fucking almost killed me. He's
yeah,
like, so I can't trust you either because you seem like something on the outside, but you're a being of winter and I can't trust you.
yeah. And I think
Um,
that's a big part of it. That's a really good point, the cold case thing. Because, but he's also got to be really conflicted too, because at the scene at the end, like it's Michael with Michael, or it's Harry with Michael Carpenter, ex Sword of the Cross. Like Harry is boys with like the most pure, like good only guys in the whole
right.
goddamn world. So it's like, well, how? So he's got to be conflicted. But you're right. I think that's a big part of why he's so willing to go along with the White Council against Harry, because of like I think he believes in his friend Harry, but I think he now Harry's less friend Harry, and he thinks of him more as the Winter Knight, and he yeah, I think your cold case example really nails that home, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Did did you catch this hint? There was a couple of them throughout Battlegrounds where Dracul basically says, I don't have the quote on me, or actually I do. Dracul is revealed to be Starborn,
Hmm.
and Harry said, "What does Starborn mean?" Because at this point, we really don't know what a Starborn is, besides that the Starborn has powers against outsiders.
Hmm.
And so Harry says, "What's it mean?" And Dracul says, "You should ask your own council what they aren't telling you, what they bred you for, and what they
Yeah.
expect you to do." And then
I did pick up the breed
earlier,
you for this time, yeah.
earlier in the book, Mab says to Ebenezer, because Ebenezer says, he's not your weapon to play with. And she says, he is exactly my weapon by his own choice, which is more than your people ever gave him. And they called the
Yeah.
she wicked and deceitful.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that's I 100% noticing that big time. And I think that's actually something we can look forward to in 12 months, because the other scene is where because right after that he's talking with Listens to Win, and he's like, yo, you gotta tell me, like, enough is enough. And us as a reader are like, yes, enough
Yeah,
is
enough
enough.
is
We gotta learn
enough.
what the hell
Yeah.
this thing is. And he's like, okay, give me a month. And Listens to Win is like, no, give me a year. And Harry's like, no. And he's like, well, do you have any other offers? And he's like, all right, fine, a year. And 12 months is obviously a year. So I expect to if we don't get a Starborn reveal at the end of 12 months, I'll be a little surprised, to be honest. Um,
I feel like 12 months is going to end with Listens to Wind walking in the door. I think I think it's going to
hmm.
be like, all right, a year's up, and then they sit down and then it fucking ends. I think he's
Yeah,
going
I
to
don't
leave
think
us
he's
on
going
a
to find out
cliffhanger.
from Listens to Wins, though. I think he's going to have to. I think he's going to be finding out from Ebenezer or the Merlin.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's going to be Listens to Win, because in that conversation, Listens to Win's like, "Yo, I'm too stupid to be even
He's like, I'm
thinking
not
about
even
telling
sure I'm
you
the right
this."
person to do this. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be him actually revealing it. It could be someone
Mm,
like River Shoulders if Harry goes to do his training in terms of how to, polymorph or whatever it's called. But I expect it to be Ebenezer or the Merlin. But yeah, it could be one of those things where it's like set up to be the first scene of the next book, maybe. But I'm
right.
hoping it's the last scene of this one
I
instead.
know. I hope so. I hope so. Um, quick quick joke break. I love the Major Toot Toot, stand down. Tonight he is the enemy of my enemy. And then Toot Toot gasps, a double
Oh, a
enemy.
double enemy! So good. And in that same scene, I'll say one of my favorite jokes, which I didn't really notice or really appreciate as much until this reread, which is when, because, Toot Toot is professing his love about Lacuna,
Yeah.
Lacuna's not having it, and Harry goes, Toot and Lacuna sitting in a tree, Kiss, and she gets her spear or whatever and points it to his
Yeah.
front two teeth. She goes, "Finish that enchantment, and I will skewer your uvula." Which is, one, hilarious because it's like calling that song an enchantment is hilarious, and
Yeah.
two, her threat is to skewer his uvula, which is a little flap of skin at the back of her throat, which is like, if you're gonna get any part of your body skewered with no ill effects, like, you literally, the
Right.
uvula might be number one. So
Yeah.
I thought that was quite funny.
It was pretty good. I love Lacuna, and I hope
Yeah,
that I mean, they're for sure, like Toot Toot and Lacuna are for sure gonna end up together, and I just can't wait to see how or why that happens. It's gonna be so
yeah, no,
funny.
that'll be great. And I think they're
Uh,
gonna be full. They're not gonna be little folk by the end either. They're gonna be not big folk because
yeah.
that's what humans, but they're growing and they're gonna be full on winter, winter court fey
How
beings, I think.
how tall is Toot Toot by this point? Because Harry says that he pulls out what would be a short sword to him, and it was like a K whatever K bar
Yeah,
like knife. It was like a knife, and that looked like a short sword to him. So he's got to be like, you know, right?
he's a lot. He's a hell. Like, I think, an order of magnitude bigger than when he probably was in Stormfront. He's definitely way bigger. Like, they were taking on the assassin octopus things. He's at least a couple feet tall for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think he's like, he's like a I don't know. Yeah, like a foot or two or, a foot and a half
Yeah,
or
he's not
something.
using the little swords that go in fancy drinks anymore. Like, he's definitely
Right.
way too big for that. So
Yeah,
yeah, no,
he's
he's
got
he's becoming no longer a little folk, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I really hope
But
by
yeah, and
the end of the
also,
series he's like a fully like
yeah,
a
yeah,
real
I think he'll be
person.
a full-on Fey being. And to that point, right around then is like when Harry gets a pizza, and like all the little folk come to him because of the banner, because of all the magic in the air, because of everything that's going on. And it's like they're all swirling directly above him, and all
Oh,
the
that was so
super
cool.
powerful beings on the roof are like going like, "Holy shit." Looking at
Yeah.
what was happening, it's like, I knew he was like powerful as like a bruiser, but
Yeah.
um, That's even just that, having the 100,000 little folk do your commands is absurdly powerful. So I like the
Yeah, because think
spoofing
about
over
it
the.
from their perspective. To Harry, in his head, he's like, they're just a bunch of fairies or whatever. Like they're just like all
Yeah,
these like little beings. But everybody else on that rooftop knows that those things are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're going to be full grown people someday. And eventually, Harry's going to have just like an army of fucking fae beings. Like it's going to be insane.
and to add on top of that, the red cap says like, how did you what was the word? How did you bind them? And what's the most magical about the whole thing is Harry hasn't bound them
Mm,
with like some sort of enchantment or some sort of geas, or he doesn't have any real hold over them other
yeah,
than giving them pizza, and like that's what's
yeah,
gained their loyalty, not some more heavy-handed
right,
mab like, it's not like they're a straight up vassal of
right.
his that he has full control of. He just has like earned their loyalty through friendship and pizza.
Yeah, he's earned their loyalty. That's key because you notice every time he, like upgrades to like, oh, now you're major general or like corporal
Yeah,
or whatever like the thing is, Toot gets so excited. He appreciates Harry's like, Harry's whatever command or his he sees Harry as his liege, his Zaw Lord, and that really says a lot. Um,
absolutely.
Also, did you listen to the full cast audiobook for Stormfront?
No, I haven't yet.
Oh, dude, you got to. It's so good. But the way that they do Toot Toot's voice in the full cast books, I like way more
Oh,
than what
really?
it is in the Marsters audiobook. Yeah, it actually sounds
Ah,
it sounds like a person. It sounds like a small person still, but it's like an Irish brogue kind of accent,
huh.
and I just think it fit him like way more. I like it a
Oh,
lot.
interesting. So in Audible, if I just put in Stormfront, now there's a Stormfront bracket, like full cast audio
Yep.
ensemble or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna download that, give it a try, because honestly, I haven't read.
It's
I didn't
amazing.
reread Stormfront in my most recent reread. I think I started at Summer Night, so it's been a
Yeah.
long time since I read Stormfront. So I'll do
Yeah.
that.
And it's good because the old like audiobooks were such poor quality because they were made in like the early 2000s.
Mm,
And so now we have like a real like high quality one. And tomorrow, the 12th, Full Moon comes out
that's right.
as a full cast audiobook. So you can go right onto that if you're feeling up to it. So another moment that I really liked was they're on the rooftop and these people are in danger. I think Harry might be down there in amongst it. And Marcone comes out and Harry tells all the people like go to the castle, like you can be safe inside the castle. And Marcone's like, you're offering them sanctuary here. And Harry's like, you want to be the Lord of Chicago? Like, talk is cheap. Like, you have to be,
Yeah.
like, these are your people. If you want to be the Lord of Chicago, then be the Lord of Chicago. And I love this moment where Marcone thinks about it and he says, talk is cheap, he confirmed. Send them in. He glared out at the smoke-filled, howling night and clenched his jaw. Granite castles seemed less substantial. Hendrix, guard, with me. And then the Lord of Chicago spun on his heel and went to see his people. I'm like, oh, that was just one of those moments where I was like, let's go. Like, oh, I love that.
Totally agree.
I
And the
love
fact
that
that it
so
wasn't some
much.
protracted thing in terms of Harry threatening, and like it was very just like very Harry, very Marcone, decisive, and a great scene. Totally agree.
Yeah, yeah. They were like the standout. They weren't really like a duo throughout the book, but all of their interactions were just money.
One
Um,
them at the lakeshore is one of my favorite scenes of the book
oh
and for
God,
the book too.
yes, yes,
Absolutely.
that's gonna be so good. What did you think of Dracul and the whole scene around him and Bill and Yoshimo? I forget who died and who got taken. I think it was just
Yes,
Chandler that got
Bill
taken.
and Yoshimo died slash got turned into Black Court, presumably, and Chandler was the one who got sent into presumably the Mirror universe, which I assume we'll
Oh,
see
do you
again
think
in Mirror.
that's what it was? It was the Mirror universe.
That's what I'm guessing because, well, really have no idea. That I haven't even read
Sure.
on Reddit or anything theories about that. That's my assumption on my rereads is like I bet you we're gonna see him again in Mirror, and that's where he got sent to.
Interesting. I
No,
didn't even think
no
about
real
that.
evidence for that though, other than it's a parallel dimension.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. What'd you think of the rest of the scene, meeting the real Dracul for the first time in the
Yeah,
series?
I thought it
Um,
was great. It also became even greater once you realize once oh, who's the Black Court lady? We Mavra. Once
Mavra.
Mavra admits is just uh like that Dracul is just like fighting Shoulders, fighting Harry, fighting Listens to Wind just for recreation, and that he could
Hmm.
probably have ended them immediately if he wanted because it's like he's built up so much, and it's like, oh, don't
Yeah.
disturb Master's recreation or Master's fun or whatever she
Right.
says. I like that because it's like why is he turning into a wolf to fight a bear? It's just like it seemed a little bit. It's like once you realize that he's some super powerful being, and it's not every day where he actually gets a good scrap.
Hmm.
Um, and as obviously as a distraction as well. That made so yeah, I thought that scene was well done, unexpected. I didn't expect to see the Black Court. I liked that it was revealed that they're not pawn. He's not some pawn or even associate or even ally of uh, Big Bronze
Outsiders.
Lady.
Oh,
Or the
okay, yeah.
outsiders for that, or
Ethne.
Titania. Like he's not some pawn of hers. He isn't some ally. He was just using it as a like, oh, there's gonna be a bunch of powerful people there,
Right.
gonna come in and refill the ranks with some powerful wizards. So that made a lot of sense to me. I think that worked very well. As stupid as Conjuritis was, at least it had a great payoff with the anvil falling and crushing one of them. I
Oh
didn't like
yeah.
how it hit, like, I guess it's different because most people don't reread the books over and over. So it's not like if you haven't read Deadbeat or whatever it was, 15 years ago, you might not remember that anvil scene. So I guess he has to be explicit with, I told you, anvils, and like be
Right.
very kind of heavy handed with what he was doing there. So I get that, but also someone who like knew exactly what the callback was. I wish he could have just been a little bit more subtle with it, but still fantastic. And hopefully that's the end of what we see with Conjuritis. Um,
And
but
what
yeah, other
was
than that, like
the original joke was there was like a turkey that fell from the sky or something, and he
turkey
said
that
next time
fell
it's going to be
so
anvils or something.
next time it's or for my next trick it'll be anvils. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Turkey fell from the sky. I think that was White God shenanigans because the knights
Hmm.
were in play. I think that kind of made that happen because they were cheating or whatever. I think that's why it's been a while since I read Deadbeat 2. But yeah, so that was fun. Um, Listens to Wind is awesome. River Shoulders is awesome. The Glasses bit is hilarious.
Oh yeah,
But
dude,
yeah,
the
no, I think that's just a
ventriloquist
fun scene.
when he's got Ramirez on his shoulders and Harry like
Yeah,
comes around
yeah,
the corner and he like walks into a conversation they're having where he's like, "No, really, like we could put like a line on your face and you could be my ventriloquist dummy and that's how we would like sell it to the humans and that's how like we can meet people and we can make like relation like have like human
yeah.
relations interactions with the humans." And Ramirez is like, and you went to ventriloquism? Like what? Like where does that come from? I just love,
uh,
I don't know, it makes the characters feel so alive and real when Harry just walks into these random conversations that they're having. I love
River
that.
Shoulders scares a bunch of people. He's like, "Yeah, I lost my glasses." Then when he
Yeah, I
comes in
lost
at
my
the end with the big
glasses.
battle, he had somehow found his glasses again, and one lens is broken.
Right.
I think that was all very fun. But yeah,
Uh,
I think a lot of that Dracul scene is setting was it was good. It was a solid scene, but it felt very much like setting up some stuff for some future books in terms
mm,
of Bill and Yoshimo
yeah,
likely getting turned to Black Court. We'll see them again, setting up Dracul for a confrontation in the future, and then obviously Chandler going into the alternate dimension. So it felt like seeding some stuff for the future and not
for
parts
sure.
totally relevant to the plot, which I think it
Yeah,
was pretty much objectively said once you figure out what they were there for, because they didn't really give a shit about the battle going on. So it worked
right.
for me.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Mab says I was mortal once, which I think is the first time that we really like get the confirmation that she hasn't always been Fae, like she was a mortal woman once. I think people tend to think that she is Morgana from the King
Yeah.
Arthur story.
Yeah, I think
Um,
that's what the Reddit, Dresden Files podcast people, and I've listened to a podcast on that, and I think it is quite compelling, and
yeah,
in all likelihood the case for sure.
right. She says, I was mortal once. Harry remarks that turning into something like Mab is maybe just choosing to throw your soul into a meat grinder over and over to protect others, like he has done so many countless times and will continue to do. And so that's kind of a big moment where it's like, yeah, maybe Harry's wrong about like having like one like evil choice at a time taking you down this road. He's like, maybe it's more like, choosing to throw yourself in harm's way over and over, just like with the Skinwalker. He's like, I had to get my brain used to like seeing the Skinwalker and being okay with it. But what happens when I've done that so many times where it has no like effect on me anymore? And
That
it's kind of
that
this
is one thought I
interesting.
had. That is one thought I had reading this book is like Harry can't soul gaze Marcone because he already has, but like if someone else soul gazed them or like I can't remember. Can we tell if you use the sight on someone with a coin whether you can see the fallen angel inside them? Because I do
Ooh,
wonder if Marcone was hoping to get through the whole battle without revealing Thorn and
yeah,
Chill. Um,
he probably
it's
was.
like you,
He probably wanted to get through
yeah.
the fight without revealing it, but
But it's also like you got to assume the dragon has true sight. Would presumably already know. Odin can probably see right through that shit and probably knows. But I guess it's a little
right.
different because the fallen angel magic is kind of on a totally parallel path. So maybe that because I do wonder. It's just like I do like even though obviously Harry uses sight to see the the thing that messed him up and he had to go in the closet and cry for a while.
Yeah,
Um, Negloshi, and that
Nagloshi,
messed
yeah.
him up. But it's just like the site seems so useful that um, you'd think he'd use them more, and it could like
Right,
if you could just do a quick check to see whether someone has a fallen angel in them, how that could potentially be helpful. But maybe
right.
it was maybe you can't see the fallen angels with a sight. I'm not sure if we know that one way or the other
Well, I've been wondering if
because you
souls
definitely can't see
change over time.
Nemesis.
Right, yeah, you
Yeah,
can't see
you definitely can't
Nemesis.
see Nemesis with a sight.
But like I wondered, like one of our questions that I wrote down for later use was if if Marcone if Marcone was able to soul gaze Harry again, would they see different things now than they did when they soul gazed back in Stormfront? Like, does someone's soul change, or is it always the same thing that they see? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why you can't do it again. I got to assume because like how if you soul gaze a wizard when he's 10 years old, and then theoretically if you could soul gaze him again 300 years later, there's no way the soul's the same unless it's some higher self thing and you see the same thing every time. So I guess that's an open question, but
Yeah.
I think that's you don't have to worry about that because it's kind of a one time thing.
Sure. Okay, so now we get to the Jotuns showing up, these big, beastly, giant things. And I loved the boast that Harry gave to the giant, where by this point Murphy has showed up. She didn't stay put. And I guess we also didn't really talk about the plaque that Harry takes to Max. But the way that I understood that, it makes Max place like more of what it already is, like accorded neutral territory, where it can't be. It makes it more of like a threshold. Is that how you understood it too?
That was 100% my understanding as well. And but to that point, just like I thought that scene at Max, super short, super great. Everything about
Yeah.
it in terms of leave saying Murphy's got to stay and coordinate. Murphy obviously lashing back was like no, but him like you're slowing me down, which is 100% true and 100% the things she needed to hear. Just like that whole moment, his little speech, the funny moment with crazy but not wrong Gary,
Gary. Yeah.
that whole scene at Max. was great. Him like saying, Mac, jigs up, like I think I know what you are. Like
Time to
try,
make a
like you got to
choice.
make a choice. He's like, oh, if you're not gonna say anything, do anything. Like he starts to open his sight. Mac puts his hands over his eyes, saying, "You'll hurt yourself," confirming
Right.
pretty much what Harry already knows.
Because
Um, there's
we've only seen one other being do that, and it was in Ghost Story when he tried to soul gaze, or when he tried to open his sight on an angel, and an
Yep,
angel said the exact same thing. You're gonna hurt yourself if you do that.
yep.
It's like,
So
I want to know more
what
about Mac. I want to know
Yeah,
more.
Watcher for sure. But yeah, some sort of
Yeah,
angelic Watcher type being. So yeah, I just love that as short. Like, I don't know how many pages it was in the hardcover, but just like super
sure.
short scene. So much happens. Such a great scene.
Yeah, yeah, it was awesome. But Murphy decides not to stay there. She bounces. And then we get this big fight with the Jotun, and we get Bradley at some point. He picks up Bradley along the way, who's like at a daycare, and the daycare is getting attacked, and he's got his little girl, and then
Yeah.
he sends Bradley to go to safety. And it says, I turned back to the Jotun and drew myself up to my full height, which means I was eye to lower quadriceps with him. I am Harry, son of Malcolm, I shouted back. I have battled dark sorcerers and black knights. I have fought men and beasts in numbers too great for counting, invaded the heart of winter, confronted necromancers and the living dead, vampires and ghouls and demons in their hordes endless. I have matched wits with the 6 queens of fairy and prevailed, and thwarted the combined will of the White Council. When they came for my child, I smote the red court of vampires and laid them in ruin for all the world to see. I am Harry, son of Malcolm, and I have entered the vaults of Tartarus and stolen its treasures beneath the gaze of Hades himself, and I'm about to add giant slaying to my resume. And that
So
always
sick.
just like, I was like, let's go. Just like going over like all of Harry's like major accomplishments throughout the books. Like,
Yeah.
obviously it's done in like this boast to this giant. There's a whole reasoning for that, but I just love taking this opportunity to like, let's just look back at everything Harry's done. Like, I just, oh, it's so good, so good.
I also love Harry realizing that he could stall and by the boasting thing, and he's like,
Hmm.
"Oh, both! Oh, hell yeah, let's go!" So he launches into that, which is great. But
Yeah.
Spencer, what was the only thing more badass than Harry's boasts? It was the Jotun's
It was
boast.
his. The Jotun lifted his head. There was a groan of concrete and steel breaking, and then that damned huge axe just flew back into his hand as if it had been drawn by a cartoon magnet. I am Svenger, son of Svengi, the Jotun roared back. He used one hand to gesture toward his scarred mouth, infusing it with contempt. I have fought the Odin's son and lived to tell the tale. And
No
that was,
need to say a bunch of list of shit if you got one shit that trumps everything. I thought that was great. I love that
yeah.
moment.
And that's, I assume that's Hercules, right?
That's Hercules.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, such a great scene. I absolutely loved it. And then of course Karen comes out with the bazooka and he's like, it just pulverized this thing, which made me wonder. I'm like, was Hercules not stronger than a bazooka? Like, was he not like, I don't know. Like, it seems like Hercules would be a bigger foe than a bazooka, but
But it might not have been a 1v1. He might have injured and moved on to the next thing, and that guy ran away. Who knows what happened? It
sure.
doesn't strike me as someone who would run away, but I don't know. I guess we're going to find out. I think we're going to be bumping into Hercules a couple books from now, or a few books from
Yeah.
now. So,
Yeah.
and the
I think
one
so.
about the gods, the body slam, or what
Yeah.
should be called
Heel
heel turn,
turn. Yeah.
but
Wait,
better
is
be
it
called
not
heel
called heel
turn.
turn? Do we know?
Last I heard, hopefully Jim's changed his mind. Last I heard, he's still committed to body slam, which is just two or
Oh,
three orders of magnitude worse title than heel turn. So I really hope
yeah,
he has reconsidered or will reconsider. Because his
yeah,
explanation for why he doesn't want heel turn is like, oh, it's a pro wrestling term. People don't know what that is. Two things. One, I've never watched a pro wrestling match in my entire life. I know what a heel turn is. So it's
sure.
just not true that people don't watch pro wrestling don't know what that means. Second thing, you have a book called Skin Game, which no one knows
No
what
one
that means.
knows.
Way less people know that than heel turns. So I really, really, really hope he reconsiders, because if he names that damn book Body Slam instead of heel turn, I will be very disappointed.
Yeah, for sure. I still don't know what skin game means.
Me neither. I
I've
googled it
I've
a few years ago, and I've it just right out of my memory, because it's just like, yeah, no idea. Couldn't tell you.
So this is the scene that we were going to end when we were going to do this in 2 episodes. This is where we were going to end our first episode, and that is Rudolph killing Murphy. I never really have words for this scene. Every single time I read it, I text Gabe and I'm like, Murphy just died. It is by far the most intense death in the entire series, in my opinion. And just everything that it represents, like, there's so many ways of discussing it. But it's always absolutely miserable to read. When I when I first when I first read Battleground, this is the book that I like. This should be a first edition, I believe. I pre-ordered it and got the hard copy, and I remember I was sitting on my bed, and I had it open to that, and then all of a sudden Murphy died, and I threw the book across the room. I threw it on the ground, and I just like sat there, and it took me at least a couple days to continue with it. I was like, dude, I'm fucking done. Like, if
Oh
Murphy's
wow.
dead, I was like, that is like so insane. I'm like, I gotta step away for a minute, and I didn't read it for like another couple days, and then I was like, all right, I gotta know what happens. And so then I picked it up and started reading again. But I was so upset. Her death is always really, really difficult. And you get different reactions to it. Some people are like, Murphy needed to go out in a blaze of glory. And then other people are like, well, sometimes death is just death, you know? Sometimes it's just like a pitiful, it's just a thing that happens that's not nobody's fault, but it's like it's so insignificant compared to other ways that she could have died. Um, and it just sucks. And I would love to ask Jim like what he was thinking with that. I'm sure he's answered that question before, but I'm just kind of like, yeah, it's a super difficult scene. Right before she dies, she's able to get out. Harry, I love, and then dies. Um, and he tries to soul gazer. He's like, wait, 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 I need a soul gazer so that he can have like that permanent memory. And he's
Hmm.
not able to. Like right as the soul gaze starts, he just sees a flame going out, and that's like his soul gaze. And then he says that her eyes were just an empty house. Um,
Yep.
and yeah, it's brutal. What were your initial feelings with this scene? Did you react to it strongly or?
So yeah, no, definitely deep sadness. But the points I have on the scene are like, I definitely disagree with the people who dislike the death, because like Murphy's whole thing was this tiny woman and constantly going up with things way outside her weight class, way stronger, way faster, way more powers than her, and being able to get through it, being able to help, being able to make crucial, really important stuff happen and overcome and be like, despite being conventionally like the least powerful person by far, running in Harry's circles, often making some of the biggest impacts. So if she just died in some crazy fight where some super powerful supernatural beings cut her down, like I feel like that's lame. I feel like this
Mm,
dying in a presumably a freak accident, like it's clear, Rudy Rudolph didn't mean to pull the trigger. I actually have a conspiracy theory that it was some supernatural force influenced him, either bumped
Yes.
his finger, pulled it on his behalf, influenced his mind to pull the trigger without wanting to. I feel pretty
Yeah.
strongly about that.
Yeah.
I think we'll find that out. But also, just like in terms of like future plot stuff, I think it's much more interesting in terms of hopefully 12 months where they have to deal with the legal ramifications of,
Yeah.
there's still not a warrant out for Harry, but like, Rudy and what's his face were supposed to be bringing Harry in. Like, presumably that's still in
Hopefully that'll
effect to
get
some
thrown out.
extent.
Well, hopefully
But
it
yeah,
gets
like there's
thrown
going to
out because if
be,
he goes and just kills Murphy and everybody saw it happen, people would be like, "Oh yeah, you can't fucking do that." And like,
yeah, because we
hopefully
got
there's maybe,
witnesses. Like we got the
yeah,
medical examiner who witnessed it. Like Rudolph, he is like an absolute friggin' clown. But like, is he gonna go with the is he gonna go with the straight up I didn't do it? Is he gonna or and like that's total bullshit? He's lying. Is he gonna go? Yeah, I did
mm-hmm,
it, but it was an accident. Like, are we gonna see a
yeah,
trial? Is there gonna be an investigation? How that whole works out with law enforcement um, is very interesting to me, and much more interesting than if Murphy, all banged up from her previous battle, just dies in battle against some, trying to hack away at some giant or something. So I think
right,
I think it was a perfect way for her to go, rather than in all the tough scrapes she's been in. It's just the chance thing, or just the devious, more likely, the devious, someone doing like. But then, to be honest, like my conspiracy is like, I think it was Odin behind it, and he knew it was like, it's a terrible betrayal, but Harry, it sucks for her, but he also knows like she isn't going to be a ghost. He's going to take her. She's going to be going to Ragnathar, whatever that place is called, and become a Valkyrie or whatever.
huh,
So I think, like, I tend to think he's behind it, and that's going to be part of
wow,
the or revealed in the plot of the body slam slash heel turn book. That's like very little evidence, or no evidence for that really,
sure,
um, other than like Sigrid like waiting at her body when Harry goes. Like maybe he would like
mm,
Odin sent her there for that reason. Who knows? But I definitely think someone other than Rudolph. I don't think like it's definitely not that just he was nervous and accidentally pulled the trigger. Like he would definitely didn't try to, and we definitely know he's being influenced, whether it's by Nemesis or whoever. So I think that, or in different forces behind it, and I think it was a perfect. I like I would have I love everyone to who love each other to have a happy ever after, but obviously that wasn't going to happen because unless Murphy became supernatural some other way, she's going to age. Harry's not. Like it was never really set up for a happy ever after, and I think that's like thematically and also just plot wise is a perfectly fine way to her to go, as sad as it is and as tragic as it is, for sure. And as much as I hate Harry, and as much as I wanted him to fucking crush Rudolph to paste against the wall, because I was just as mad as him as her, even though
yeah,
on rereads it seems pretty clear that like he clearly didn't mean to, and it clearly wasn't even just an accident, and there was
right.
probably larger forces at play.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I definitely think that there was something supernatural influencing him. Um, I don't know if it's Odin. I didn't even think
That
about
that is
that, but
very speculative for sure. It's probably
sure.
more likely to be some more dark evil being, or maybe like who knows. But that's my conspiracy. Is it was
Yeah.
Odin behind it?
Or maybe even like Mab's influence over the city,
Yeah,
where it says like people who are it's heightening everybody's personality, like people who are more, tend to, run into the face of danger are now doing it. People that,
yeah.
normally might fight definitely now are definitely fighting.
Or
Um,
maybe even Mab more directly, because Mab like
yeah,
knew like she had the deal with Lara, wanted to
right.
unite the factions, wanted to marry Harry to Laura, knew it was never going to happen, and Murphy is alive. So it could be Mab even directly, or maybe even White Court more directly.
Yeah,
Shit could have been White Council. Like there's tons of possible. Could have been like
right.
we didn't see any of the Knights of Denarius except for not Nicodemus, except
Thorn
for
Am
Marcone,
Shield.
obviously. It could have been like it could have been a million people.
Right.
Um,
Damn. Yeah.
and for a million different reasons, honestly.
It'll be interesting, with that in mind, if Harry investigates her murder, but it's like it's like all supernatural. Like he's really having to like everything about her murder is supernatural and having to like figure that out. That would be interesting. I
Yeah,
wonder if that's part of what 12 months is.
it could be. I get the impression that Harry thinks because of the scene with the trigger discipline early. I think in Harry's head, he was nervous, he was scared, he had his finger on a trigger, he accidentally pulled it. I don't think in his head he's thinking someone was influencing Ruov to do that specifically.
But do
Obviously,
you think
he
he gets
knows
a
he's being
clue?
manipulated. He could be like that could be a whole plot thread for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's totally possible.
I loved when Harry almost murdered him because it was so good. It was a release for us, the readers, where it's like kill fucking Rudolph, and he gets his shield out and he's like slowly pushing him against the building, and it breaks Rudolph's nose and his finger, and Rudolph like goes for his phone, and Harry's like, why is he going for his phone?
Yeah.
And it was
I
just
also,
so
sorry, I just got to
satisfying.
say, it was very satisfying. I also think it was very intentional by Jim because,
Mm,
like, let's say Harry's accusing Rudolph of killing Karen, and then Rudolph is accusing Harry of assaulting him and causing all these wounds. But Harry didn't punch him. Harry didn't
hmm.
hit him with his staff. So what is
Yeah.
Rudolph? And Rudolph believe in the supernatural. So what else Rudolph's going to say is like, oh, he crushed me against a wall with his magical shield, and the judge or the
Right.
juror or the lawyer will be like, wait, did he push you? Did he hit you? It's like no, like he used an invisible wall of force to like crush me. So like I think that could, if there ends up being
Yeah.
like lawsuit investigation stuff, I feel like that could come into it.
That
And the
could
other
play a
part of the scene
role.
I feel really strongly about is I really liked that it wasn't Waldo and Sonia being able to talk Harry out of, because Harry's in full winter night mode.
Winter.
He's embraced
Yeah.
winter. He is, and it wasn't just like Waldo going, "No, Harry, I'm trying to protect you. Like this isn't right. He's helpless." It wasn't Sonia doing the same thing. Like they weren't able to get through to him, which I think is correct. Like there's no
Yeah.
way in that state they would have been able to get through to him. It had to be the
A fight.
sword,
Yeah.
the sword, him getting his arm through the sword, and getting that big burst of angelic, whatever,
Yeah.
that like broke the connection to the winter mantle briefly, that was able to
Yeah.
snap him out of it. I really liked how it wasn't just like the words of a friend that were able to bring him back from that state, because
Right.
that wouldn't have felt right to me.
And another interesting thing that goes along with that, I think it's at the beginning of peace talks where they're looking at Butter's sword, and Butters is like, well, if it passes through like a good person, then it doesn't do anything. But if it passes through like an evil thing, then it will hurt them or cut them or whatever. And Butter's sword, like he hits Harry with it, and there's like that angelic moment where he sees all the bad things that he's doing, but then it also like cuts him down his
It's just
arm. Like,
warm.
yeah, it
No, no, no.
leaves.
Peace talks. It's Harry puts his hand through it, and it's like the other guys just go through it no problem, and he feels a heat that's like
Oh,
almost uncomfortable, but it's bearable. So yeah, no, that doesn't
okay.
happen. He just feels a warmth, like a pretty strong warmth, where he's like, oh yeah, no, it's
But in
fine. But it's like, holy
but in
shit, that
this
was pretty
book,
hot. But in
it's
this one,
he
it
gets it down his
burns
arm.
him,
Yeah.
and he gets other burns later, which heal. That one like doesn't heal nearly as much, and that's like his
Hmm.
biggest pain going forward is the burn
Yeah.
from that lightsaber wound.
Yeah, for sure. And it makes me like, okay, well, like in that moment, Harry wasn't like
Yeah,
being a good person. Like he deserved to get hit by the sword. And so
100%.
I think that tells him something. But yeah, I loved Butters pulling him back from the brink, even though I have mixed feelings about Butters being a knight. It was
Yeah,
like I love when Harry's like, "Why are you protecting him?" He's like, "I'm not protecting him. I'm protecting you." And
yeah,
that was
fantastic.
such a good moment, such a good moment.
Yeah, really, really great scene. Because yeah, it wasn't warm, but it also didn't cut his
Hmm.
arm off. Because it's like, yeah,
Right.
he was pretty far gone at that moment, but he wasn't lost.
Yeah.
He wasn't full evil. He was just like in the mode of grief, fully embraced of winter. So all the sword needed to do was knock him out of that,
Yep.
to allow what Sonya and Butters to doing to actually cut through.
Yep.
So yeah, just perfectly done.
Perfectly done. Last quick thing about Murphy. I love the scene where Mab honors Murphy with she's got like a cohort of women Fae who carry Murphy on their shield. to the I think they put her in the bean, right? They put
Yep.
her inside
Hmm.
the bean. Um, and Harry says his goodbyes, which was really sad. He moves her hair out of her eyes and then it falls back down. And he says it kind of feels like Murphy was there, like being stubborn. And then he takes her cig and her gun. And then he's like, can I take your gun? And he takes her gun, and then her jacket falls open and it reveals the magazines, the extra magazines. And I'm like,
Hmm.
I wonder if there was a little bit of like supernatural, like she's not like a shade, but maybe because she's going to Valhalla or whatever, like maybe
Oh yeah,
she's
Valhalla.
there
Yeah.
in some sort of capacity and is able to do small things. But I just like that. Like her hair moved back down over her face, and then her jacket just like opens, and her extra magazines are there. Like, take these two or something. And I hope he holds on to that sig, and I hope that's like,
Hmm.
maybe he uses that in place of his like Dirty Harry revolver or whatever.
Yeah.
That would be cool. But yeah, I loved that scene. It was so good. Okay, so let's jump ahead to we have the big fight with Ethnew, where like everybody is fighting Ethnew. I loved Mab gets Rebar stuck inside her. She gets like pushed onto Rebar, and Butters is with him, and Butters like fighting his way through. And Harry says, like Butters is trying to get the rebar out, and Harry says, "Butters, boot to the head." And Butters goes, "Nah, nah." And Harry's like, "Butters, boot to the head." And Butters like looks at him and goes, "Nah,
So
nah."
confused.
And do you know what this is?
I don't know I don't know that. I could obviously figure out to some extent, like, is but yeah, no, I don't. I still don't know the reference, to be honest. Yeah.
It's a song. It's like a rap song from like the 90s or 80s or something. Boot to the head, nah nah. Boot to the head, nah nah.
Yeah,
And
that's what I
so
figured, but I don't think I've
yeah.
ever heard the song, to be honest.
And so I just love Butters is like, nah nah, like he doesn't know what Harry's talking about. And
Yeah.
then Harry has to spell it out to him. He's like, Butters, put your boot on her head and pull the rebar.
Yeah.
It was a great, it's just a great joke in the middle of all this shit.
No, and I think it's part like Butters being so used to Harry doing the pop culture references in their
Right. Yeah.
inappropriate times, so assuming that's what he meant,
Yeah.
and also the idea of putting his actual foot on the Queen
On,
of Air and Darkness's head to be a pull a iron spike out of her was so unimaginable that he couldn't like he didn't even like that didn't even cross his mind as like
right.
a thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, Butter, she's immortal. Just do it. Like, oh God.
Yeah.
It was such a great scene. I loved it. But we get this huge conflict. Mab brings in Molly, who plays "Welcome to the Jungle" on her way in. That was fantastic, and she just comes in like just slaying everybody. And then
There's a lot of
Titan.
cinematic move. There's a lot of cinematic
Mhm.
movements moments in the Dresden Files in general, but
Yeah.
you can just totally imagine this scene on the big
Oh
screen.
yeah, dude. This whole book was like a
Absolutely,
big cinematic. Like
that's
this
true.
book felt the most like a movie, like almost like a Deathly Hallows Part 2 kind of just like big
Hmm.
like cinematic. But yeah, it was like this whole scene, it was just nonstop action. I mean, the whole book was kind of nonstop action, but especially like from this point to the end of the book, it's just a nonstop roller coaster ride of battle, 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 just things getting destroyed and big furrows getting ripped in the earth and crazy shit like
Yeah.
that.
So good. And something
Um,
I picked up on this read, sorry, that I
uh,
hadn't picked up on previous reads, is the little foreshadowing about Marcone having a coin. Because
hmm,
when Marcone first enters a battlefield, because earlier I can't remember if it was in Peace Hawks or Battleground, but they're talking about how Ethne is wearing Titanic bronze. Nothing can penetrate Titanic bronze except for like maybe the swords or maybe what do they call it? Uh, it's a D&D word too, but anyway, like the power of the coins, like maybe
Right.
Nicodemus Archfiend
Infernal
alone
power.
could get through infernal power. Thank you. Maybe Nicodemus, but we don't have control over him. But pretty much, it's like nothing can really get through this Titanic bronze. And Marcone enters the battle and takes like a shot at Ethnu. And Harry's
Yes.
like, oh, he got lucky, and it like it threw some sparks off of
You're
the
right.
armor, or like does a tiny little bit of damage. So I think that could have been a little hint that he had some infernal
Well,
magic
there
behind that bullet shot as well.
Yeah, there was a couple things with Marcone that I thought were interesting. First of all, he's got a bandolier. I love the moment with the cavalry coming over the hill. That's my favorite trope in
Hmm.
all of fantasy, is like the backup that you don't expect. And Marcone comes over the hill with Sarissa and Fix and all of these other people that we've been like, where have they been? And then they come over the hill with their army, and he's got bandoliers with flintlock weapons, and he's just taking flintlock weapons and shooting them and throwing them to the ground and pulling out another one and shooting them, and just so fucking
Yeah,
cool. But it
so
also
sick.
says Harry said he threw the weapons to the ground as if he had an infinite supply of them, and I kind of wonder if Thorn Namshiel was like generating them somehow. I
Hmm.
don't know if that like fits into the magic system or anything, but Thorn Namshiel was able to generate like a lot of other stuff during that final battle. And so I kind of wonder. I wonder if he was like generating more guns for Marcone or something.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. That didn't strike me. The thing that actually struck me in this reread too is like Harry should have really figured out there was more going on with Marcone supernaturally when Ethnu kicked him and he
Yes.
scrambled back up to his feet. Because
Right.
like what part of you thinks like he can take a kick from
Yeah.
this Titan wearing Titanic bronze or whatever it's called and just scramble up to his feet afterwards? That
Right.
should have really clued Harry in. And obviously, a heat of the battle, there's a lot of shit going on, so it's
Sure.
reasonable, but
Sure.
it definitely stuck out to me this time that she landed a kick on him.
Well, he gets knocked down, and then what's crazy is Guard goes up to her and hits her Achilles tendon with the axe. She starts to stumble, and then Hendrix like just
Great job.
slams into her,
Hmm.
and we see her. She like officially goes down, and then Marcone goes up to Ethniu and blows a just a bullet like straight into her eye, which
Yeah.
was just the whole thing back to back to back was amazing. And then that made me wonder. I'm like, what was in that bullet that was able to pierce her, or was her eye just vulnerable?
Oh no, that
Um,
was some Thornamiel shit for sure.
right? That's what
For
I
sure.
thought. That's what I thought. And then she
And
kills
also
Hendrix with
R.I.P. Nathan. Yeah, Rip
yes.
Nathan.
Ah, oh, dude, Nathan. Yeah, that was a really tough one as well, because even though he's been like kind of a bad guy, he's been a character that we all kind of love to some extent.
Totally.
And it seems like he maybe had like a romantic thing with Guard, and she
Oh,
was
big
like
time,
mourning him.
definitely.
Yeah. Um, and so yeah, so Hendrix gets speared right in front of Marcone. Marcone reaches around him and grabs the shotgun that has like a big magazine on it and unloads the rest of it into Ethniu, which is also doing damage. And so I'm wondering, I'm like, there's got to be some like magical ammo or something that they're using. There's got to be
I think
something.
there's some runes on those rounds for sure. I
Right.
think.
Yeah. That would make sense. That would make sense. Um,
Whether it's Thorn Namshiel or from Guard, there's definitely some magic loaded into those bullets for sure somehow.
for sure. For sure. And then
Also, just
Titania.
Hendrix before Hendrix died, showing up with the auto shotgun in one hand, battle axe in the other. It's
Oh
like,
yeah, so
come
sick.
on.
It's so sick.
Or no,
Um,
battle axe because was it Guard who had the battle axe? But anyway, he had auto shotgun in one hand and another like big ass
melee
mundane weapon in
weapon.
the other,
Yeah,
melee weapon in the other for sure.
for
I think it might
sure.
have been next, yeah.
I love when Titania shows up, and this is after like Ethniu had wiped the floor with Mab, and something I didn't realize until I reread this book, but this is at the end of Mab's power. It's at the waning of the winter. And
Oh
so
dear.
Titania shows up and she says, clever of you to attack my sister when her power is at her weakest, but it was short-sighted to believe she would stand alone. That was such a
Mm.
great line. Like, oh man, Titania and Mab working together, and we even get a scene of them later, like standing side by side and like talking, which Harry
Which I
really
think is a
enjoyed.
very important scene because as you
Mm.
recall in that scene, they're standing, not talking, and then Titania goes, "You know what this means, right?" And Mab just says, I expect you to do your duty." And then Titania looks sad. I think that is huge. Like, if there's one thing I'm super
Oh,
confident about oh yeah, super important what the exchange there. If there's one thing I'm super confident about in the rest of the Dresden Files series, especially after that scene, is Mab is not going to make it. Mab is going
yeah.
to die. I'm not sure if Titania is going to be behind it, but when she said "do your duty," I expect like the Summer Queen's duty is to combat the Winter, like to
Oh,
combat the Winter Queen. That's Titania's whole thing. So I think Titania is going to have to be the one to kill Mab in some way, or be behind it in some way. But it's like
yeah.
Mab knows it, and because it's part of the whole thing. So I expect you to do
Why
your
do you
duty. I thought was really important.
why do you think Mab needs to die? You think Nemesis or
So
anything?
plot for plot reasons, I have no idea, but it has something to, well, I think it has something to do with, because at the beginning of that conversation, Titania says like, "You know what this means, right?"
Yeah.
So I think it's something that happened today is what is going to relate to it. I don't know what that is
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Ooh.
I couldn't even guess, but it has something to do with today. Mab needs to die because it also relates to the fact that Mab planted the scene earlier in the book to Harry, and she said, "Harry, if I fall today, you have to do one thing. Please, you have to do one thing for me: kill Molly Carpenter."
Right.
Which obviously Mab knows he's not going to do, and he thinks is crazy. But she's saying that to him for a reason,
Right.
and it's to plant that idea in his head for when she does die. Like, he's going to remember that. And
Right.
there's like, obviously, I don't know what it's like. It's all foreshadowing right now. And also the other reason I'm sure, I don't know why Maddie said I, but why I'm sure she's going to, is I think it was, I don't think it was this one. I don't, maybe it's Peace Talks or Skin Game. But at one point she says stars and stones. She's like all
Hmm.
icy and goes, "Stars and stones will fall from the sky when Mab fulfills not her word." So I
Right.
think she at one point is not going to fulfill her word. Maybe that's related to this book, this scene in one way or another, or
Yeah.
something else.
And then the
But
big apocalyptic trilogy.
I think she's going to die in the big apocalyptic trilogy in the book called Stars and Stone, and she's not going to fulfill her word. And stars and stones will fall from the sky, and she
Yes.
will die. And then Molly will ascend to Winter Queen, and there's going to be bad things that I couldn't even surrounding
Oh,
that I can't even imagine why. And that's why um, Mab said, "If I die, immediately kill Molly." And I don't know why, but I guess I have a
wow.
strong feeling about that.
Yeah, that's a great point. I hadn't considered any of that. That's fantastic. Okay, so as we hurtle towards the end of the book, one of the coolest bits of magic that I have really enjoyed from this book is the gods doing battle. We have Titania, we have Ethniu, we have like Odin and all these demigods fighting, and Harry is seeing shadows of them like overlaid several times over, and he realizes that what he's seeing is these immortals that are battling at such a huge epic scale that he can't even begin to understand. They are thinking several seconds into the future and choosing what the most likely outcomes are and choosing their attack based on that. So that's how you're seeing all these shadows of like overlaid like spell or sword or whatever just all
Yeah.
overlaid with each other. Um
But specifically, they weren't doing all of them. It was the possibilities, and it all came
right.
down to one moment where they all did
Yes.
their attack, where they thought they'd have the most, whatever. So it all came down to the one moment, which I think is a really good and interesting way to do the super OP characters all going battle to
Yes.
once. In terms of them
Mhm.
all using their future sight to see what might happen, and it all coming down to one instant, I think is
Yes.
very cool.
It was so sick. I loved it. It was so great. I was like, man, that's yeah, because how else do you it becomes the Dragon Ball Z problem, right? Where it's like, oh, this person is like just more powerful because, and it's like
Yeah.
they just threw like a stronger blast of fire or whatever. But to show these immortal beings that are like master chess players, where like, like all these different things going through their heads, and then just whoosh, like that's really cool. I think that's
Yeah.
sick.
Totally
Um,
agree.
Okay, so Odin doing the thing where he says the word and then her spear goes back on her and hits her in the eye. And her head is all blasted apart, her arm is all blasted apart, and then first of all, I'm kind of like, why couldn't Odin have done that earlier? But also, whatever plot reasons. And then
But I liked it because it's like when it happens and there's the big god fight before the cavalry comes, it's like, man, like I thought like Odin was kind of at like not at maybe at Titan level, but like Odin wasn't kind of like the fact that it was Odin and the Earl King. Like
yeah,
Odin should be so much more powerful than the Earl King. So like the fact that
hmm
Odin went out like a bitch, I'm just like I didn't like that. So the fact that
yeah,
he was like playing dead for the kind of
yeah,
or like this was his moment.
right.
Um, that actually worked pretty well for me.
Yeah, yeah, it was a good moment. It was a good moment for sure. And then Lara comes out of nowhere and boot to the head back of
Boot to the
Ethnew's
head.
skull, and her eye comes out. That was great. Marcone grabs the eye and starts running. Harry runs after him, and Lara's clothes come off her and are like sentient
Of
and are
course.
wrapping up because of course they are. And it wraps up Ethneu to try to like trip her up and everything so that they can get to the lake shore. Um, and I was like, where in the magic system does that fit? Like sentient clothing that can like do that kind of stuff? I don't know. But it was great, and of course, any chance to get Lara naked on the page, I don't think Jim will not do that. So
I think Molly was naked too for the most of the fight, or near
yeah, Molly
naked
was naked
for
for
whatever
most of the
reason.
fight. Yeah. Um, and I also never noticed this before, but Christos might be dead. He he gets flung like hella far and set on fire. And
I think
Harry
he was one
says,
of the ones who voted Harry out of the White Council, though. I think he made
"Oh,
it.
really?
I think he
Okay,
was one of the ones because it was just listens to win and McCoy who missed the vote. I'm pretty sure Christoph was there for the vote to boot Harry.
okay.
I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure. But yeah, he got messed up, but like McCoy got even more messed up, and he
Dude,
survived.
yeah. Yeah, there's so many characters, like we don't really have time to go over them all, but like yeah, there's so many people that got so badly injured. And I'm really surprised that Harry made it out as well as he did, where in Death Masks he like loses a hand basically. I was surprised that he made it through relatively unscathed.
I don't know if he would say that at the end. He was pretty beat up, but yeah, no
Sure.
permanent injuries. Like
Right.
I think he broke his arm on multiple occasions.
Right.
But yeah, yeah. Well, I think it's partly too because there's just so much magic in the city. Like his spells were supercharged.
Right.
But yeah, I was happy to see like no, I don't need it. Like I think he made it through with no permanent injuries. We'll say
Yeah.
he was pretty haggard by the end of it.
Speaking of him being supercharged in this book, he faces off against Ethneu and he's barely able to do anything. And we know that the baddies are only going to get bigger and bigger. What kind of power up is he going to need to go toe to toe with some of these bigger enemies? I really don't know like what, because at some point he's going to have to fight something that is on the scale of Mab. Or I mean, he even said that Ethneu was stronger than Mab. So I don't know. I don't know what kind of power ups he's going to
Oh,
need to.
it's simple. He already has a blueprint in his head. He's just
Yeah.
got to dark hollow the creatures on the island, and
Right. Yeah.
he'll
Oh
be
yeah.
like as powerful as the White God after that.
Right. Yeah, dude.
I
Could
don't
you
think that'll actually
imagine?
happen, but he does
Oh
know how to do the
God.
dark hollow.
Yeah. I wish it would. That'd be so sick if he dark hollowed everything on the island. Jesus,
I don't know. Who
he'd
knows?
be
Maybe he'll
terrifying.
inherit his grandpa's. Maybe he'll inherit his
Blackstaff.
grandpa's black
Did
staff.
you notice that
There's lots of options.
When Ebenezer cast a shadow, it was Mother Winter? It was
Oh
like
no, I missed that.
yeah, when Ethnew fires a blast at him, and when his shadow gets shown on the ground, it's an old crone holding a staff. She's got like a long crooked nose, and she's like
Oh
laughing.
wow.
Um,
Yeah, I already knew he had Mother Winter or yeah, Mother Winter's staff, but I think I
mm,
missed that. That's a good catch.
yeah, it was pretty cool. Okay, so the three of them are on the beach. I'll let you. What do you think of this fight?
Beach
Um,
scene is great. I think the most surprising part about the whole book was Marcone having a coin. And when he opened up the eyes, or the second set of eyes open, I thought it was great. I also like that, like when Marcone is doing his distraction thing, it starts off with like him casting spells, but like with his own voice, but then quickly becomes Namshil's
Nam
voice casting
Shields,
spells because
yeah,
like it clearly like obviously Marcone has been practicing, but
right.
it's a heavy hitter he's fighting, and Namshil's got however many thousands of years of
He's like,
experience.
let
So
me
it's
take
like
the wheel for a
quickly
minute.
like let
Yeah.
me take the reins here, bud. So I thought that was great. Um, the teacup at the end was fine. I thought the
Mhm.
whole thing was done very well. I think it was just a great scene, like the banter at the end, the eye gets thrown up at the beach at the end between them. And they're looking at each other, and I guess Jim does such a good job describing Marcone as a cold, calculating type, and you could
Yes.
just see his mind just whirling through all the different things, and then obviously the callback at the very end with Harry's like, "What? Do you have it?" It's just so great.
Right. So
So
good. What did you think of the
then
of like the binding of
the binding,
Ethnew?
yeah,
Like because he calls Bob up, right? And Bob acts as the circle.
the circle, yeah. Bob
And
Access is circle.
I loved I loved Bob, wake up, we're gonna bind a Titan. And Bob wakes up and he goes, fuck that, I'm
Fuck
going to Utah.
that. I love that too. I guess I
So
could
good.
because it's another such cinematic moment where you can just imagine,
Yeah.
because Bob isn't like really paying attention when he's not woken up.
There.
So him being
Yeah.
woken up, it's like, oh wait, it's over. It's like, oh no, it's like the
No.
exact opposite of being over. So good. And then yeah, Harry's trying to bind him. He's counting her name. She hits him with a psychic assault. What did you think the first time when Harry's seeing the vision of his family being slaughtered?
Oh, dude.
Because honestly, even the first time through, like for me, it's like when it's like, yeah, Michael's at the front with a shotgun, but he's not really a shotgun man, and they kill him and walk by. I'm like, okay, like my bullshit detectors are on red alert here. There's
Sure.
no way Michael Carpenter's death is going to be like, yeah, he tried his
Off
best and then he
screen.
died and then
Yeah.
they walk past him. Like, there's no
Right.
way he's going to be, if he goes down, it is going to
Well,
be in the most heroic shit possible and
I
not just
think
like executed.
I think Jim did such a surprising thing with Murphy's death where it's like, oh, are people just gonna die? Like, are people just gonna fucking
Mm,
die? But
yeah.
then when Maggie died, I was like, I don't know. And like little by little I started to have my doubts. At first when Michael died, I was like, "Oh my god." And then as the Fae went upstairs and killed all the children, I was like, "Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know." But it was such a
But it's
great
fantastic
reveal.
because like it's such a great reveal because as a reader, like I'm sure there's some people who are thinking where's Mouse, but even this time through, like
Yeah,
if there's because
totally.
there's so much going on in the book and like Mouse hasn't didn't really play a big part in this book at all. Like you don't he's I don't think he's even mentioned once maybe or very little maybe at the very beginning. But
Yeah,
you're like you as a reader aren't going, "Oh, where's Mouse? Like this is bullshit. Mouse is going to be there." Like I think
right.
very few people would be thinking because the scene is like the description is so
So
fast.
fast
So
paced.
the
Yeah.
realization it's a fantastic reveal of Harry figuring out his mouse, and then it was Molly doing that on purpose because she knew this would probably be shown to Harry at some pivotal moment, and that would be the clue. Fantastic, 10 out of 10 shit.
Yeah, fantastic reveal. I loved like the mental, and that's really what it comes down to for Harry in a lot of his scenes is that his will is fighting somebody else's, and I love those kind of moments because it's not just I moved to the left and dodged their fireball, and then I shot
Yeah,
this, and then they shot that. It's more like it's more narrative than that. It's like our wills did battle, and this is kind of what it looked like in as much as I can describe it.
Yeah.
Um,
And like it's fantastic too because we have 18 books of setup to know just how strong Harry's will is.
mhm,
Um so it's like yeah, we know he's super powerful but not compared to the big hitters in the world, but we know his will is second to none. And despite that, we know that even though as strong as his will is, it shouldn't be strong enough to go against the will of the Titan, but Jim did
right.
such a good job in knocking in getting so many hits on Ethnu where it's like, yeah, at this point, with a mule-headed mother effer like Harry,
Mhm,
like, yeah, that and
yeah.
him like having the buoyed by the strength of the realization that his family isn't dead. It's totally believable and just fantastically done.
Yeah. Well, there's a certain moment in the book where Harry says like how do you kill a Titan one bite at a time?
Yeah,
And throughout all of the book, like she's just getting like a little bit knocked down, a little bit knocked down, a little bit knocked down, and it keeps like adding up to when then her face getting like half exploded. And she's like really weak at that point, and so yeah, just wearing her down little by little by little. And going back to what I was talking about earlier, is Harry mentions that Ethniu is like a rookie compared to some of the other things in her pantheon, and so it'll be interesting to see how all that goes down. Um, but hopefully we'll have some upgrades by then, and I think Marcone is going to play a huge role. He's just going to get more and more powerful. Um, but I did love the so the wave starts coming in. He summons Demon Reach, and the wave starts coming in, and they're like, "Oh my God, what do we do?" And Marcone is talking to Namshiel, and they're going back and
oh
forth in
yeah.
this voice, and then Marcone is like, "Gopher wood? No, I don't have any gopher wood. I don't think it even exists anymore."
I think that was
That
so good because you could totally imagine that internal conversation happening with the ancient
right,
deity. I
yeah,
love that every time too. I totally agree
so good,
because the outrage and like
yeah,
because clearly there's an internal conversation going on, but
yeah.
Marquette is so outraged he gets asked in this moment if he has gopher wood. Too good,
Yeah.
too good.
It's too good. And luckily, we know what that internal conversation looks like because we had Lashiel.
Exactly.
And so, like, we know, like, when Harry would get frustrated with her, we know what that looks like. And so, for Marcone to be like, no, I don't have any gopher wood, it was just so
So good.
good. And, uh, and for any heathens out there that don't know, the Noah's Ark was made out of gopher wood. So that's what
Oh shit, I
Namshiel
didn't know
was
that.
was referencing.
That's good
Yeah,
to know.
he's like
Oh, that's hilarious.
he was probably saying to Marco, and we could build an ark out of gopher wood.
Yeah.
Um, and
I also like with what comes next that like because that was Marcone, turning the whatever into a dome. But he
yeah,
like I like the fact that it doesn't show him as just like he got the coin, he has the master of sorcery or magic or whatever, and now he's like super powerful and he knows what he's doing. Because it
right,
kind of looked like that before, but
sure,
it does a great job showing that like he's still got a long ways to go in mastering these powers in terms of the dome flipping over and turning it into a teacup. So I think that was very well done as well to like still bring Marcone down a little bit of a peg, even after
right,
showing him as being an ultra badass,
yeah.
distracting.
Yeah, because he makes this thing of concrete because he couldn't do it out of anything else,
Yeah,
and then it flips on them, right, and it like keeps them stuck underneath it. And
yeah,
I have this in the book here where I wrote down in my notes the banter between the two of them. I absolutely I absolutely love, especially the last couple lines here. Um, Marcone slogged onto the shore and made sure I was able to get out of the water. What? I asked, panting. The hell is that thing? Talking about the big concrete dome. Marcone plopped down on a rock and said, "There's no reason a concrete vessel couldn't have handled that wave, structurally speaking. Structurally speaking, I must have made it too top heavy and it rolled on us." "Yeah, well," I panted, gasping sweet, sweet air. "That's because you suck, and you're an amateur who sucks. I didn't see you doing anything about it." Yeah, because I was holding the freaking Titan I shot back. I was doing the grown-up stuff. You just almost killed us both as an unintended side effect of that binding, Marcone snapped, and you call me an amateur. I saved your life from a Titan, I panted, exhausted, and I think I had picked up a couple of cracked ribs despite the last second shield of concrete that had risen to stop most of the force of the wave. You almost drowned us, fake wizard. Marcone says, I just broke down the molecular structure of concrete and then chemically reformed it inside a mold of pure will, saving both of our lives from that wave in the process. Fake, I said, sad.
I do like Marcone showing some humanity in terms of like, yeah, you could talk shit, but like I know you know just how impressive what I did is, even if it wasn't perfect. That is still super impressive, and I know you know
Yeah.
that because Marcone's been looking at Harry for decades, going like,
Yeah.
man, like I don't like this guy, but what he does is incredibly impressive. So now that Marcone
Right.
can do some of that shit on his own, it's like, yeah, I wasn't perfect, but like, buddy, talk all the shit you want. That was
Mm-hmm.
unbelievable what I just did.
Right. Yeah. That was incredible. Yeah, Harry, of course, has to say fake, sad.
Yeah.
Marcone let out a low, weary chuckle. My stomach twitched a lot while breaths went in and out of my exhausted body. We did not laugh together, and he was no less an asshole, but we won. Um, and I love these moments where, like, I don't know, I love the frenemy thing between them. I love
Oh
anytime
yeah.
anytime they like share a laugh or anytime they like kind of like I don't know, just have like a buddy moment like in Full Moon when Harry like saves Marcone and Marcone kind of saves him, and then there's some moments later like in White Knight where Marcone has his back and like comes through the way like from the Never Never and like fights alongside him and just stuff like that. I love any time that they get to like team up, and I love that they're like laughing together on a beach. Like it's such a small thing, but it like means so much in the grand scheme of things.
It's just
Um,
so realistic, so well done, so much fun. Couldn't agree more.
yeah. Okay, the end of the book. We get like kind of a big epilogue here where a lot of stuff happens. The army comes in after Harry binds Ethniu, of course. Um, and then Molly shows up, and Harry says, look at what we brought upon them, Malls. We have to answer for this. We have to help. And I think that'll also be a big part of 12 months is kind of the
Hmm.
restoration and like making moves to ingratiate people with the supernatural rather than having people against it. And that's kind of what Harry says in this like final meeting. Um, where he's like, people experience the supernatural for the first time tonight and they don't have a very high opinion of it. We need to come in and like reintroduce ourselves and show them that we're trying and show them that we're not all like Ethniu and that we're trying to restore and protect our city and
Hmm.
all that.
And the other thing I noticed, which I'd kind of forgotten about, is the army doesn't just show up to see the wreckage. They actually see as the Fomor forces are being pushed back to the water, and they don't just see it being forced. They actually unleash with not artillery, yeah, like the heavy weapons from the Hueys or helicopters or whatever. So they would have like the gun footage from all those
Right.
helicopters of mowing down the supernatural beings. So I'm also curious of how that plays in terms of the feds and the spooks, whatever, coming in
Yeah.
to do whatever they're going to do and investigate and see what caused this and obviously to try and make sure it never happens again type stuff. So those interactions I'm really looking forward to and learning about that whole because like obviously I don't know if it was the White Council or whoever, but or yeah, I know it was at that final meeting where Laura knows about the librarians and like the Fed's
Hmm.
version of the spooky desk and
Yeah.
all that. Like I think that's going to be a big part of 12 months, and I'm really looking
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing how all that works and like how Harry's going to treat those people, how they're going to treat Harry. I think that's all really really cool. And like yeah, it's like because yeah, they're gonna say, oh yeah, it was chemical weapons and WMDs and
Hmm.
mass hallucinations, but like they got the gun camera footage, let alone the results of everything. So it's they're not going to be like, oh, like that was crazy. Not hope that let's hope that never happens again. It's like, no,
Right.
send in the best people we have to really understand what happened here. So I'm looking
Right.
forward to that.
Yeah, I hope we see them. I mean, Lara confirms that the librarians are like the men in black and that they'll
Yeah.
come in, and she's like they're way more powerful than you think. Like they have a lot of they have like centuries worth of collective knowledge, and they're not someone you really want to fuck with. And so yeah, I'm curious what they're gonna be like when they finally step onto the field and when they start getting involved here. And like you said, how Harry treats them and how they treat Harry. Are they gonna get along? Are they not gonna get along?
Are they going to be using like magical stuff? Are they going to be leveraging magical assets to have magical weapons or magical contacts? Or is there
Right.
going to be a wizard who's kind of like feeding them information or advising them or providing them, non just so there's tons of interesting ways Jim could take it. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I have no idea which way that's gonna go. I really don't have
Me
any
neither.
theories for
No,
them or
no
anything.
idea. Like, is Harry going to be working with them? Is Harry like? I doubt it. Like, is Harry going to be like the main antagonist in their view? Like,
Right.
I have no idea, and that's why I think I'm so interested in that kind
For
of those
sure.
plot lines, storylines.
Yeah. I hope they have a part to play as we lead up to like the big apocalyptic trilogy. I
Yeah.
hope they're
Well,
like
and because
a
remember,
big player.
sorry, I'm sure they will, but also in peace talks, like at the one time where Harry's speeding down the highway, like he's being followed by three groups of
Yes.
people. So he already had someone's attention in the intelligence world, the IC world, I think.
We
So
still don't know who that is.
we
Like we
still don't know. So I think
Oh
that's going to be part of that whole storyline too, where they had him under surveillance, like
man.
leading up to this event.
Yeah. Interesting. I forgot about that. We get Michael swearing a lot when Harry tells him that Ramirez got him kicked out of the council. That was a great scene. Harry arrives at the meeting, which is great. He had to do all sorts of stuff to get in there, where all the big players are, and Marcone says that they've convinced everyone outside the city it was a terrorist attack. Um, and all that stuff. We kind of talked about that. But Harry gets his house back and he's like, I want my lab. He's like, that's what I want from you. And
Move your
Marcone's,
stuff.
yeah, move your stuff. And Marcone's like, you have the eye. And he's like, do I? I don't think so. And even Mab,
And
for
he
some reason, is like, he's never given me a reason to think that he's lying or whatever.
But it's also
Um,
Harry going full like kind of Winter Fey in terms of like lie, like
Technically,
the
he
like
doesn't know. Yeah.
technical lies. Like I don't know where it
Hmm.
is because like why? Because Alfred put it somewhere, even though he knows well. Like
Hmm.
so, it's like and he purposely didn't know it, so he could purposely tell that kind of truth. Very very Fey like. You can see
Yes,
the Fey influence there for sure.
for sure. Yeah. Even though Harry can lie,
That's
you know
true.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
he's
he,
not like Molly or Mab. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I guess in case like anybody was able to,
Lie detector tests with the feds, or who knows? Good to be able. Who knows?
yeah, for
But yeah.
sure. Yeah. And then the Library of Congress, the Librum Bellum is the name. Librum Bellum is the Men
Mm.
in Black. Extremely dangerous. So then we get Harry getting pulled aside by Mab, and Molly is there, and Mab decides to marry him off to Lara um, in chapter 36. Do you have thoughts on this?
Well, I do wonder if Molly had pre-warning of that because she seems really
She had to
surprised.
have.
But because there's also the scene at the beginning of this book or in Peace Talks where it's like Molly and Lara, or Molly's very frosty towards Lara, and it like, and Harry's like, I wonder, like, did I miss something here? Like, what? Or I definitely missed something here. I don't know what's going on. And I think it's because Molly knew somewhat of this sort of plan, and I think her surprise more came from the get married tomorrow and not the
Yeah,
get married at all.
right.
Um, and so I definitely didn't see that coming, and I think that's obviously Lara's surprise too. Is not the actual plan, but the get it married tomorrow part. I thought, yeah, it was interesting. Harry was trying to do his blustery loudmouth thing, and Molly was getting him to shut up to not get him, because this whole thing is he can talk shit, like he can do his Harry Dresden thing, but just not in front of others. And but this was like beyond the pale, so he was going to start like talking crazy to Mab, but Molly saved him from probably some harsh punishment from that. I feel real bad for Harry, because Mab is right. Like, when he became the Winter Knight, it wasn't just like it becoming the hitman. It was becoming her, her everything, like whatever she wanted, and that includes marriage. So I feel real bad for Harry. Obviously, it's just kind of setting up the next book,
Do you
and
think he does
pushing things
marry Lara?
forward. Dude, I can't imagine it, but also I can't imagine how not, because I don't see Lara
Right.
dying. But I also don't see, like, Mab's word is kind of important.
Mm-hmm.
So if I gun to my head, I would say yes, they get married. I don't think like he falls in love with her or anything in these 12
Mm.
months. But strictly speaking, are they married by the end of 12 months? I don't know. Maybe he weasels out of it somehow.
Yeah.
Maybe Laura dies, but I highly, highly, highly doubt that. So that's why I'm so interested in 12 months,
Yeah.
because it's like all these storylines, I have no idea how they're gonna go.
Right.
Really, no friggin' clue.
Jim from Fantasy for the Ages is rooting for Harry and Lara. He's like, I think that would be a great couple. He's like
It
Harry and
probably
Lara. He's
would
like
be, honestly.
they have so much chemistry and stuff, and they have all this history. But like, then how do you get past her like feeding on him if they were like a couple? Like, how does she
Yeah.
like? How do you get
But he
past
also has
that?
so much mad. He has so much strength where she could probably feed on him and him like not even notice it as much, or
Sure,
and recover it back because he's so powerful now. I
could be.
like, because Laura is, she's a vampire, but there's a lot more evil characters in the book than Lara. And like here, he's got the brunt up front. Laura's got the subtle political things going on. Um, I have no friggin' clue. I
I
can't, like,
know.
I would bet against them being like living happily ever after at the end of the Dresden Files for sure,
Sure.
or even at any point really. But what I think and what I hope is like their marriage is like a technical one. Like they don't fuck or whatever. She doesn't feed
Right.
off him, and they become like some sort of partners in terms
Right.
of. But then again, like I really don't know, because Laura is very ambitious.
Yeah.
Like I can't remember what book it is, but they talk about how she's got her thorns and all sorts of politicians and military people and intelligence, and she's spreading her influence. And
Yeah.
so I really have no clue, but I would bet against Harry falling in love with Laura.
Sure. Sure.
But
Yeah.
I could believe her falling in love with him and that causing
Yeah.
issues, like, or she already is.
I think
I
she
also
kind
can,
of is. I think she kind of does like have feelings for
yeah,
him in a way.
I do. I
I
agree.
think he's an anomaly to her, and she kind of possibly has some feelings for him. But I don't know. I don't know. I hope that Jim Butcher does something with it and it's actually like super interesting.
Oh, he's got plans
Um,
for sure.
yeah.
He's got plans for sure. I would also 100% bet on Harry making some sort of joke about marrying his brother's sister for sure.
Oh yeah,
That
for
would be
sure.
my number one prediction.
Yep, for sure. Yep, yep. But I love the conversation he has um, with Mab after, and it starts with
Yeah.
a well,
Thank you.
it starts with a couple things. Yeah, the thank you that he says three times. He's like, "Thank you for helping me save my city," and he does it three times, which makes it really
Hmm.
important. And Mab just kind of like closes her eyes for a minute, and
Shivers. Yeah.
she says, "My child, you are welcome." And I'm like, that was just it was such a vibe for a second there.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's so good. I
I
absolutely
love
love it.
Harry. Harry's gonna be Harry 99% of the time, but that also means like, and he's in those quiet moments, like he is
Hmm.
as genuine and deep and compassionate, and he knows that things could have went way worse. And obviously
Yeah,
there's a lot of heroes that day, but Mab
yeah,
is one of the foremost. Like she
Yeah,
risked
for sure.
herself when she didn't need to, and so I appreciated that. It made sense. I like
Yeah.
that. I like that a lot too.
I think it fit perfectly into both of their characters. And, Harry asks her, why don't you marry Lara if you want Lara to
Yeah.
be bound to winter? And she says exactly, there were certain choices I made when I was mortal. There would be compatibility issues. And I'm like, what does this mean?
Yeah, that I agree. I don't have maybe there are some Reddit Dresden Files podcast people that know more of
Yeah,
the Morgana lore or something that have some ideas about that.
sure.
I think we're gonna find out, but I got no clue.
Right, right. So then there was a great bit of banter between him and Mab where before any of that is said, I think Mab raised a hand as I began to speak and said, her voice tired and uninflected, "Yes, you defy me, obviously, you always do. In the interests of efficiency, let us assume that you have uttered some mystifying reference to mortal popular nonsense. I have glared at you and reminded you of the power I hold over you. You have confirmed that you continue to understand the circumstances that require me to tolerate your insouciance, and we have both agreed to continue this ridiculous dance in the future, presumably for the remainder of time." Which made me blink. Mab didn't usually get into the meta discussions about the nature of our relationship.
Chef's kiss, 10 out of
Yeah,
10. Loved it.
so good. So good.
It's also because you can just totally imagine Jim going. It's like, okay, like, oh, what am I gonna put here for witty banter? And like then he's like, wait a second, and
What
he's
if I
just
just
like
recap what they always do?
so much better, so good.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of, I mean, there was a lot of great stuff here. Not possible. If it was work I could do myself, I would, which I believed actually. Why not? Certain aspects of my power have to do with choices I made when I was mortal. There would be compatibility issues. This is part of the task the knight was designed for.
So
Certain
that's what makes me
aspects of
think
my power.
it's not about childbearing. It's not about like giving Laura a child. It's something to do with her power.
Yeah,
Because even if she didn't have any power, she's still a woman. She couldn't give Laura a child. So like,
right.
there's some sort of mystery there for sure. I have no clue.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Okay, so then Harry takes Molly to see her father, and he has known
Hmm.
this whole time that she is the Winter Lady. How do you think he knows? I mean, maybe the angels told him?
So I think he's kind of bluffing in terms of him knowing for a long time. My kind of thing
Okay.
is like he might have because like a shit ton of people were at that Battle of Chicago. I think he had some construction worker friend who was one in Harry's banner who saw Molly
Oh,
in the middle of the Winterfell, and like I think it might be more like more recent, not like he's known for a long time, but he's known for like the last few
sure.
weeks or days or something because he knew people at the battle. He finally like Sonya and Butters were there. He's obviously close with them.
Yeah,
Maybe he got it out of them recently. I think
right.
he's like pretend like I don't think he's known for a long time. I think he's known. My guess would be he only found out since the Battle of Chicago, and it was from someone who was there, whether it was a fellow knight. Maybe I guess the I don't think the no I don't think I don't see Uriel or one of the angels just spilling that to him.
Yeah,
Or it could I think it was just like he's got friends outside of Harry Dresden in the city, and Molly wasn't hiding herself like she's pretty
right.
well and like she's well known in the supernatural community as being the Winter Lady now, and it wasn't like it would be a huge shock too when they're in the vault of Tortoris. Like he saw the statues of the Summer and Winter Queens, and he was like, Harry, doesn't that look like Molly?" And Harry's like, "Oh no, what are you talking about? They're
Yeah,
so come on, look over here. What are you doing? Get your head in the game!" And just like moves right on. So I think
right.
he's already been suspicious there's something like that going on, and he
Yeah,
just found someone to confirm it for him.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it was probably something like that. I don't know. I guess I wouldn't be surprised if an angel told him, but I would just assume that an angel would have like way before now. So
Yeah,
I,
exactly. So yeah, I
but and he
agree.
he definitely didn't know in Skin Game. Like he was asking
Exactly. Yeah.
Harry like he's like he thought Harry was boning Molly, And
Yeah,
like,
which
remember
also
that
is
whole
kind of
thing?
crazy. His reaction to that, like I don't know how he was so cool with that.
I
Um,
know.
but
I know.
yeah, no, I would bet it against it being an angel because like why would an angel wait? Like why wouldn't an angel
Yeah,
have told him before?
right.
Why more recently?
Sure.
Like and the fact that like I don't know, it was some Fey being. Honestly, it might have been the Fey being who said, "Hey, we're going across the street. There's some
Right.
hitters coming to your house. Let's go."
Yeah.
And had like I think it could have been like that Fey being or him figuring it out or quizzing and like they can't
Yeah.
lie. Michael Smart, Charity Smart. Like I think
Right.
we might find out, we may not, but I think it's gonna be something like that where he just like was
Sure.
determined to knew something was going on. Like when he sees Molly looking like a winter queen, then like the red cap, who like maybe he figured out was a winter fae, is the one who's guarding him across the street, or maybe anyway. Yeah, I think it was something
Yeah.
like that. I who knows.
For sure. For sure. A couple final lines. I always love how Jim Butcher writes just the final few lines to the book. It's
Mm.
always something that is really just clever and insightful and emotional. It's always really, really great. Um, so one of them, it's not the final lines to the chapter, but he's hanging out with Maggie, and I love them like back together, and they're hanging out with Mouse and Maggie and all of that, and they're like eating together and everything. And Maggie says, "Rain's coming," and Harry says, "When it does, we'll run out and dance in it." And she says, "Why?" He says, "Because if we don't, the world will have just as much rain, but way less dancing." And I'm like, I just love like these cool little, just like so insightful. Like you could really look into that sentence and see like a whole argument on like, having positive things in your life versus negative things in your life. It's just such a great like little analogy or metaphor or whatever you want to call it. And I love that so much because if we don't, the world will have just as much rain but way less dancing. And it kind of reminds me of the like, if the world's on fire, me and the kid will roast marshmallows kind of line.
The flip, the
Um,
other side of that coin.
yeah, it's the other side of that coin. Um, Okay, so then the final lines of the book are Mab and Lara had schemes in motion, and a planet of consequence was about to fall on all of us, no matter how the exposure of the danger of the supernatural world got spun to the mortals. Trouble. Oops. Trouble was coming. Murphy was gone, and I had a hole in my chest that was going to take time to heal. But after a lot of time and hurt, it would heal. And right now, I was about to have a nice meal with people who cared about me and about one another. There are a lot of ways to get ready for trouble. You get ready to fight, that's one of them. But it's even more important that you build something worth fighting for. And that's
Yeah,
how it
and I think
ends.
with a book in a book with tens of thousands of deaths, I think that's a nice way to end it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a great, like, positive way. I always just love his final little send off in each book. It's always so well thought out.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, there is Christmas Eve, the short story in this book, but we will discuss that when we do what's it called? Is it Briefcases? Is that the second
Yeah,
the second
I can't remember which
anthology?
one's the first. I think it is Briefcases is the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll do that at some point. We've already done the short story The Law. That is a video that we have on the channel if anybody would like to check that out. But I think there's been a few short stories that have come out over the last couple years, and I really have not kept up with any of them. I tend to wait until they come out into an anthology like Briefcases or whatever. But after 12 months, I may just have to go through and buy all of the little short stories
Yeah.
that are all around
No,
the
I
place.
definitely will. I didn't even know there was any short stories or novellas like post Christmas Eve. I thought like I'm
Hmm.
not paying as close attention to as I once did either. I thought Christmas Eve was the last one. So yeah,
Yeah,
honestly, I'll probably be in a big Dresden Files mood after 12 months and pick those up as well
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, the Law was really good. I think that
Oh, I
takes
did read The
place.
Law. Yeah.
Yeah, that takes place after. And then there's like a Toot Toot short story, and there's like I think there's even like a Marcone one or something that has come out in the past
Actually, you know what?
couple
I did
years.
read The Law because the law was the reason I got Audible. I That's when I
Oh,
switched from ebook
really?
because it was an Audible exclusive. I couldn't get it on my ebook thing. I had to get it on as an
Wow.
audiobook. So I'm like, oh shit, I guess I'll do Audible, get the 3 free books. Um, so The Law was the very
Okay.
first like audiobook I ever did. And then I
Wow,
did,
that's crazy.
the first two King Killer books as a reread because I heard the books were good, which was a big
Yeah.
mistake because they're so freaking good, and it just made me angry that the third
Mm-hmm.
book is maybe never coming. But they're
Correct. Yeah.
fantastic audiobooks, and yeah, since then, I don't know, 100 plus audiobook books later. But yeah, The Law is the very first
Nice.
one.
Nice. We're doing a couple episodes for the King Killer books in the near future if you want to join us for that. Because
So
Sam,
I would do a reread, and
yeah,
that
Sam
always
wants to
is a
reread
mixed
them.
results.
Yeah,
It
for sure. For
because
sure.
it's just like I go back and the King Killer Reddit, and it's just like
Hmm.
it's just depressing. But the books
Yeah.
are so freaking good.
It's so good. They're
I love
so
those
good.
books. I might be down. I may not be down for another reread. It's been
Sure.
a few years or a couple of years, but they're just so
Same.
good. And I've read them
Yeah.
a bunch of times. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that pretty much wraps us up. Any going, in final thoughts, what is there anything you're looking forward to the most for 12 months? With it being
Yeah.
just
So
a
I think
few days away.
Yeah, exactly. No, and I think I mentioned it earlier in the episode, but I'm most looking forward to the law enforcement, federal government, the librarians, the Rudy murder trial slash Harry assault trial slash they were trying to pull him in before anyway. All that stuff, like bringing back like the feds who are, obviously the feds had some sort of impact with the supernatural world. They had the werewolf pelts and that
Yeah.
being back. Murphy's, I would bet money Murphy's ex-husband, the Fed, he'll make an
Oh,
appearance one way or another because of
yeah.
Murphy's death and because of the law enforcement stuff. Maybe he is, well, who the hell knows? But that, like, the people were trailing Harry, which we talked about. He had surveillance. They were surveilling Justine. That's the other thing is like there was multiple people surveilling Justine. It wasn't just Laura's people, but it was also I think the Negloshi Goodman Gray also said the feds were surveilling her too, and he took them out and knocked them out or whatever. So yeah, those are the storylines I'm most looking forward to for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with all that. Um, yeah, I guess I'm still at a point where I'm like I'm not really sure if this book is going to be like packed with a ton of storylines or if it'll be like a slower book that's more like almost slice of lifey. And I don't know which one I would want more. Like I would love to get more like just slice of life Dresden because supposedly from what I've understood as far as like what has been said about this book so far is this book follows the full 12 months that
So I think it's like one. It's just like it's like it's. I thought it was supposed to be like one date every 12 months, and like that's going to be it. So it's going to be like it's going to be the full year, but it's like the first couple chapters are month
right,
one, date one, and
right.
then it goes like that onwards. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard as well.
And that'll be really interesting because how do you tell a story over that much time? You know what I
Well,
mean?
especially it's polar opposite of what the Dresden Files usually are. Usually
Yeah,
a
usually it's a
year has just
weekend.
passed, and now we got a 2 day
Mhm.
friggin' sprint. So now it's
Yeah.
literally the flip that on his head. So yeah, I'm curious how he tackles that as well for sure.
Yeah. I'm hoping it's more slice of life stuff. Like I hope that we get to see him because I think after 12 months everything is going to go to hell. I think
Yeah.
everything is just going to get worse and worse and worse until we get to the big apocalyptic trilogy. And so I want us to get some time with Mouse and some time with Maggie. If Murphy had lived through Battleground, it would have been good to get some time with just him and Murphy being boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever you want to call them and seeing that. But I hope that we get more character moments because I think a lot of people are about to start dying. And I think like things are just going to get worse and worse. And so I think it'll be nice to just kind of have like the calm before the storm, and then everything goes to hell.
Well, also the
So,
calm before the storm, but also the exhale after the whirlwind that was Peace
mhm,
Talks and Battleground. So
right.
I could see something like that. I'm just hoping Harry isn't all depressed throughout the whole thing.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I think it's going to be a lot. Well, obviously because of the time frame, it's going to be a lot slower paced, or not slower paced, but it's not going to be. Yeah, it's
Go,
going to
go,
be
go, go,
different.
go. Yeah,
Yeah, it's not going to be go go go-y for sure. It'll be different, and yeah, I think that'll be needed after the whirlwind that was Battleground for sure.
for sure. Yeah, definitely. Especially after just reading through this and the whole thing was like an adrenaline rush all the way to the end. I
Hmm.
think we as readers definitely need like a, whew, like let's chill for a minute.
Exactly. A nice
Um,
exhale. Nice
but
gather ourselves.
I think Battleground is a good indicator of what we can expect from the big apocalyptic trilogy. I think it's going to be like Battleground on steroids, where it's just
Yeah,
like, I think the big apocalyptic trilogy is not going to just be Chicago on fire. I think it's going to be like the world on fire and Harry
definitely.
going to like many different places. And I kind of wonder if over the next few books, we're going to start to expand our view outside of Chicago, or at least more than we already have. I mean, changes saw us going like all over the place, but like more than that, like more like, you know, go to an embassy in Scotland or something, or like maybe Edinburgh is on fire or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I hope we get more of that and kind of expand our view a little
I
bit.
think the next two books, like the 12 months, I think is going to be very Chicago,
Yeah.
yeah, very Chicago based. And then I think after that, if it's still Mirror Mirror, I think that's going to be very Chicago based, but it's going to be alternate reality Chicago based. But
Yeah.
after that, I think things are going to start expanding out of Chicago for sure.
Yeah. I
But yeah,
expect
12 months,
heel turn to be completely heel turn
exactly.
or
Heel
body
turn,
slam or
I
whatever
think,
is going to be somewhere else.
I, I think it'll be somewhere else for sure too. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I know you're 3 hours in the future from me, so you're probably pretty tired. But thanks for hanging in there and talking about Battleground with me, so that I can get this out before 12 months.
Pleasure as
Appreciate
always,
it.
bro. Always a blast.
Awesome. Well, I am so excited. In just a few days, we get 12 months, and we'll definitely be discussing it together. I'm sure we'll have lots to say about it. So, yeah, we'll read that, and I'll be probably messaging back and forth with you about it,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
we could do an episode on it or whatever. But yeah, guys, that is going to wrap us up for today. Thank you all for hanging out with us and discussing Battleground with us, or listening to us discuss Battleground. You guys can now go into the comments and tell us what you thought of it, what some of your favorite scenes are. Obviously, we couldn't get to everything, and that was kind of the initial point of doing this in 2 episodes, is so that we could cover all the little tiny details and whatnot. But let us know what some of your favorite moments are, some of your favorite, things that we didn't get to cover on this episode. Let us know down below. You can also reach out to us on Twitter or Discord, or join our Patreon for $3 a month, where you get to watch these episodes live as we record them, and hang out with us, while we discuss these things. And you can hop in the chat, talk with us, and everything. Also, we have SpeakPipe down there, where you can leave us a voice message and we will play it and respond to it on the podcast. But at the end of the day, thank you so much for just being here and watching the comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Thank you all. We will see you in the next one. And until next time, boot to the head.
Nah, nah, nah. Or was it two knots? God damn it.
Bye,
I think
everybody.
Butter said three, didn't he? God.